Boom.
I like that Honduran cigar, the spirits rise. Smoke curling like ancestors whispering in the skies. Dr. Sebi in my left ear saying heal from inside. This ain't no new land, we the ones they try to deny. Before Columbus ever dreamed of ships steered, we was building mounds, doing rituals with no fear. From Yucatan to Galveston, New Orleans near. That's a triangle of soul, but the map been clear. Second lines ain't parades, that's ancestral rights. Tambourines and feathers under full moonlight. We ain't immigrants now, we the original might. Built pyramids and bone flutes before Rome took flight. Topcatz said it loud, stop begging for permission. Our culture ain't missing, it's just deep in tradition. We ain't African cause they told us we remember the mission. The land speaks Creole, soul food and intuition, yo. We been here through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky. In the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. It's our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing true through the pain and the tears. Granny sat me down, roll something slow. Said when you puff, give thanks, let the cosmos know. I inhale the jungle, exhale the flow. Spitting stories that the textbook still scared to show. Cigar lit like a torch from ancient rites. Aromas like prayers to the Orishas at night. New Orleans ain't a torch tale, it's black divine. Where the jazz horns bend time and the spirits align. Forget Columbus, we was dancing in stars. Trading turquoise, dripping culture in bars. Drums talking codes, spirits moving cars. Look close, the past ain't gone, it's just behind these stars. From Congo Square to Trammy porches, we built this land, no need for endorsements. The Mardi Gras beads ain't just for decor. That's soul armor, homie, we was gods before war. We been here through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky. In the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing true through the pain and the tears. Through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky. In the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. It's our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing true through the pain and the tears. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. It's our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing true through the pain and the tears.
Peace, what up, though? Hey, y'all do me a favor, tap that like button. Tap that like button, man. We gonna get to the show. Hope y'all feeling all right out there today. Make sure y'all share the live out, man. And if y'all catch the video after this, man, make sure y'all hype the video up. You feel me? Make sure y'all hype it up. Hey, don't forget, man, we Atlanta, Georgia this year, man. We popping out. So y'all get ready to turn up. We going to ATL, shawty.
But it's not enough. You big that really step, but it's not enough. Say you bigger than myself, but it's not enough. I get on their ass, yeah, somebody gotta do it. I made them niggas mad, yeah, somebody gotta do it. I take the G-Pad, yeah, watch a nigga do it. We survived outside, all from the music, nigga. What are we?
They like, what are you on?
This is Alpha and Omega,
bitch. Welcome home. This is how it's on. This is a revelation. How they get a nigga on?
Y'all don't understand, baby. Pay your bill and make you feel protected like I can, baby. Teach you something, make me correction. That's the plan, baby. Don't put your life in these weird niggas' hands, baby.
It's not enough. You solid niggas, that's not enough. You really good, but it's not enough. Say you really good, but it's not enough. Hey, it's somebody got to do it. I make it, it's somebody got to do it. Shit, watch a nigga do it. Nigga, watch. Turn the TV out. And with my type activities, and don't you get involved. Nah. How many shit I see and send them off. Take a risk or take a trip. Yeah, I'm tripping for my dog. Couple sergeants and lieutenants for the get back. It's revelation to tell about. Fell through with the knickknacks. Hey, yo, nigga, get your chili up. Yeah, I admit that. They black out if they act out. Yeah, we did it. But what's up, though? I hate a bitch that's hating on the bitch and they both hoes. I hate a nigga hating on them niggas and they both broke. If you ain't coming for your kid, then what you come for? Nigga feel like he entitled because he knew me since a kid. Bitch, I cut my granny off his chin. See how I see it. Got a big mouth. Big leg, big idea, send him to the moon. That's how it is, yeah, man. It's not enough. Few solid niggas left, but it's not enough. Few niggas that'll really step, but it's not enough. Say you bigger than myself, but it's not enough. Are we really sure? That love that lasted for so long. Yeah, we do. You are in it. Hey, let's talk about this section going on everywhere. Wow. Hey, y'all, let's get some flames in the chat, man. How y'all feeling, man? Get the energy up in the building. We going in one time for the one time. Shout out to everybody, man. Man, y'all been keeping me busy. Man, y'all said. Y'all been keeping me busy. I'll say that, man, as far as the support on the support with the drops. And now we're gonna bounce out, and I got something else, man. We got what's that joint called? Oh, the sea moss gel, man. I'll let y'all know when we bring that out, man. I ain't get too many because I want to see what it's gonna do. And that shit's like super high. But it's live though. It's live. Me, I take sea moss gel every day. I know that shit can get expensive. The one I get, it's like $35, $38 plus tax. So we doing our shit $25. And if we get some real support, I really want to take that bitch down to $20. You feel me? If we get enough support, you feel me? But like, yeah, not just some shit I've been thinking about, you feel me? $25, that's a crazy price, but I just want to beat everybody else's price. Cause I seen somebody with $25 price. That shit ain't got no taste to it though. We ain't doing that. We using real sea moss, wild crafted. We not, you know, that other bathtub ass shit the niggas got. Nah, we use, and so, you know, I just want to make sure we beat everybody else's price. You feel me? But I'm gonna need y'all support to do that. Let's go. BCU, what it do? Hey, Roman on 7 days, I be like, all right.
If this world was mine, I take it, things that make them multiply. If this world was mine, I take it, enemies in front of God. Introduce them to that life.
This thing with it, hold up, man.
Hey, Roman on 7 days, grab it like it's hot. If this world was mine, I take it, things and make them multiply. If this world was mine, I take it, enemies in front of God.
Introduce to that life, it's nigga with it, vibe. It's a vibe. Chill, fans, nigga wanna come out, yeah. We can get it cracking on the low. Better they gonna be low. Woke up today, get your picture just to get me started. I called you up, but you weren't there, and I was broken hearted. Baby, it was all like, everything goes, coming with it on my yeah, what? I'm good, that was low. We get it cracking on the low. You know what I know? It was other me. Just want to see you win. Hey, y'all, make sure y'all tap that like button and share the video out. Get what? Weekend, get it poppin' on the low. Better than type shit. $1,000. Is it from you? Get what? But I really don't wanna type shit. Alright, I was gonna start off with this certain play, but we ain't gonna go there. Damn, am I tripping? Or is my screen showing like that for real? Whoa. Hey, is the screen blurry to y'all? What the fuck? That's some cold shit. Hey, I'm looking at it. Yeah. Hey, why the screen? They say it's blurry, yes. The fuck? See, it's clear on here, my shit. Man, yeah. I don't even know how to fix it. That mean I need to get. They saying blurry line, yeah, it's blurry. Yeah, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what the fuck? My bad, y'all. Give me a second. So it's just me, because when it started out, damn, that's crazy. That mean I need to get my ass up off this camera. Now I wiped the camera. It ain't the camera. Nah, it ain't the camera. It's probably the joint that I'm going through. It's probably StreamYard, man. But fuck it, we're gonna get right into the build. I did want to go through some information before we jump right into the build, but I guess we'll just jump right into the build then. Man, that's some cold game. Hey, y'all make sure y'all tap that like button though. Yeah, I don't understand this shit neither. My bad, y'all. I was trying to hell, see if I can fix it. It's cool. It's cool. We're gonna get to the build.
To me, it sounds like the ones that
Right. So all of those rappers and dead celebrities was being extorted by the JBL in Hollywood. They known in Hollywood as star whackers. If you listen to go to YouTube, and if you're in the comments, go to YouTube. Michael Jackson got his last interview. He's talking to a reporter named Dieter.
okay.
And he's telling him how powerful these people is and that they plan to kill him. Right. They was the ones riding Michael
Cobra
Jackson.
Universe.
They was the same ones that was threatening all of the other entertainers.
A Baker, Wee,
Right.
G Ride, Magnolia, E-Night.
So they can't say we making shit up. The FBI and the FBI said that.
Superior, what's up, family? War Chief Floyd. Steven,
you gonna find something funny about the connection with these small hat guys and us being the small hat
Soul King,
who are being cat's paw to run this gaslight to make us think we from Africa. They was starting us, and we about to get into
everybody in the building.
You know about him, right? He was the one that funded the General Education Board. And he was a Ashkenazi Zionist Jew. He was a small hat, right? And so he loaned them. I mean, he donated essentially. Now, why would you donate this amount of money to the Education Board unless you got some hand in what's being taught in the? That's why he said he don't need a nation of thinkers. He need a nation of workers. So keep in mind, these guys are small hats when we going through this. Here we go right here, bro. This is another key point right here where they and remember the times, right, when they did the Dawes Roll all lit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Topcatz put me onto this, the Indian Reorganization Act is when they start trying to convert us over into U.S. citizens. The rest of the what's left of us. Also keep in mind the Indian Removal Act is going on about around this same time. The Indian Removal Act, where they did a reenactment, really. To me, was because to me it sounded like the ones that went take U.S. the Indians that they reclassified us as colored. We're going to get into that, and blacks and Negroes. The ones that wouldn't conform to that, they claimed to remove them off the land.
That's where the removal part of the Indian Removal Act come from. Right. So remember, Rockefeller is working for the General Education Board. He's financing the General Education Board. Mm-hmm. No, the slave narrative is handed out through the educational system as the narrative. Right, because you got to teach it to the children young. If their parents at home don't say that ain't got nothing to do with us, they won't never know.
Right.
For 200 years, somebody will figure it out by then.
Right. Okay, here they go right here. Yeah, these guys right here, man, the small hats, the Ashkenazis from they are from Germany. That's the the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the Khazar side, which is from Russia,
which is modern day Ukraine, is where they're from.
Mm-hmm. And then they did these people. They are afraid to do a DNA test. About to get into that because it will prove that they not who they say they are. They really some Aldebaran extraterrestrial. Look at them. There you go right there. There you go right there. The so-called and these guys, the real ones, were dark skinned. The Quakers. They were really dark skinned people.
Yeah, what you looking at right there is mulattoes.
Right. They mix, right, Rod?
Yep. So in the Moorish harem, you got to go get this book called, I think it's called Moorish Harems, or I think it's called the Harems of the Moors or Moorish Harems or something like that. But they had all of the pale-faced ladies in their harems, because like if they seen one that had appealing features, it didn't matter if she was married with 10 kids. They would just say, she going with me. And then they had nothing to say about it. That's what caused that uprising in Europe that expelled them from Europe, because they didn't have no reverence for any of the unions and family structures for their debauchery. And then when they produced these kids, they didn't have birthright. They was called batards, which became the word bastard. Mm-hmm. Right? But the batard, you don't have what's called a heritable birthright. But them still they babies, so they put them in charge of the bank because they didn't have heritability. They couldn't inherit a title, or they couldn't sit on the throne. So they allowed them and trained them in how to use the money magic through the Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Black Venetians.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. This they puppets. This they front. They middleman. This they fall guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. So now this is another thing on here. These racist Ku Klux Klan guys who be coming on our Facebook and attacking us because we saying we native. They don't never mention Walter Plecker, right? Walter Plecker. He wasn't even from here. He was English and Dutch, and his family settled over here. But he's gonna be the one. And look at what his dad name is, bro. Jacob Plecker. Ain't that something?
Every time you see some usurping going on, they gonna always put Jacob or Jacobin in there as an identifier that this is where the usurper rests. That probably wasn't even his father's name for real.
Probably wouldn't. But that's slick though, the trickster, the usurper Plecker. There you go right there. Look, let's get more into this, man. Hold on, we'll come back to that one because we're talking about the William Dungy. Okay, we're gonna come back to that one. I want to get this other this one right here about Walter Plecker. Now look, Walter Plecker started reclassifying us as colored and Negroes, the indigenous people. And remember, we just about the Jim Crow. We're gonna get into that. The Jim Crow. Well, they labeled us as colors and Negroes. So who were they reclassifying, Rod? Who were they reclassifying? The indigenous Virginians, which was the Powhatan tribe with Pocahontas in them. They labeled them as colored. And then they would set up this the nationalization. They would use the Nationalization Act. This is what the people look like. Hey, look, this is what these people look like. They reclassified them as Negroes and colors and mulattoes. This right here, dude, look like with the star on his chest, look like LeBron James. Huh?
Let them argue
with the one drop.
Yeah, they can argue with the pictures.
Yeah, so this dude, at first he labeled us as colors and Negroes, right? Who was the Negroes? And then mulattoes, right? So yeah, man, we on to your game. No more gaslighting. Let's get into it. Now we got the Dred Scott case, right? About around 1857. About around this same time is when, a little bit before this, I think it was 1848, is when the Turner heirs versus United States was suing United States courts for the Louisiana Purchase, and they won. They won in court, but then a year later, after the small hats put a couple little dollars in somebody's pocket, a couple judges' pocket, anybody that didn't want to get down, they got stuffed out. And then all of a sudden they overturned the Turner versus U.S. Deal. But here's another key pivot point where they said that Dred Scott in Stanford, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled 7-2 that enslaved blacks. Now remember when we first started out, we read that they were enslaved with the woman under the doing the Salem Witch projects. She was an enslaved black woman, and then they said, "Oh yeah, well she's an enslaved indigenous." So, and then we just read where Walter Plecker them was reclassifying everybody later on, right? But they first, before they start calling us Negroes and coloreds and African Americans, they reclassified us as blacks. Right, it was a black and white thing after the 1790, the Nationalization Act. So they ruled that black people could not be U.S. citizens. So Native Americans really couldn't be U.S. citizens. That makes sense to me. What you think about that, bro?
They labeled us black. Now look at the time frame when they labeled us black. 17 what?
Now 1857.
Okay, so from the 200 years supposed to have been from 1776 to 1976, right? But the problem came in is they got an extension in 1812. Now they have to figure out how to maintenance the conjure. That means they got to take over all of the institutions to push the agenda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they using the courts as a definitive institution to push this agenda to make us believe that we not from the land. And if you don't believe you from the land, you don't believe you have a claim to the land.
Right.
But we already had the land. And they say they stole the land from us, but when I look out my window, I still see the land here, and I still see us. They stole our memory of our connection to the land. They didn't steal the land. The land's still here.
And then right after that, Rod, when they talking about the freeing of the slaves, we wasn't no slaves. And then they created the 13th and 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says all people born in the U.S., all persons born or naturalized in the United States as citizens, right? But they didn't include us in this. They didn't include us in this, right? They saying they included us in this. Go ahead.
Yeah, that didn't have anything to do with us. None of the Constitution or Declaration of Independence had anything to do with the tribes. That was all for colonizers.
Right.
That's how we've been getting trapped in a system with no real due process, because it really didn't have nothing to do with us.
Right. And the 13th Amendment, they said it abolished slavery, but it didn't abolish slavery. All it did is transfer so-called Christian stock, because the black people, once they reclassified us as black, they put us under the black codes, the Christian black codes, and all this. And so once they did this 13th, they talking about it freed the slaves. No, it just transferred Christian stock over to Congress essentially, and they still can enslave you if you essentially commit a crime, which they had created all kind of crimes, because all crimes are commercial. You know what I'm saying? So they had created all kind of crimes like curfew. They was giving brothers like 20 years or 15 years in prison for being out for breaking curfew. They were just snatching people up, throwing them in prison.
Okay, so the purpose of the 13th Amendment, right, was to take the private ownership of chattel, slaves, and make them the property of the federal government that was emerging at the time. Right now, how do we know this? Because after that, they gave the slave owners reparations, but they still haven't did any kind of reparational assertion to the ones they claim was the slaves.
Right.
And slavery still existed in the 13th Amendment once you were duly convicted of a felony.
That's right.
So that means that they took the slaves from the private, and then they put them under the jurisdiction of the public corporation called the United States. So they took it from, we only gonna have a handful of people slaves, now y'all all gonna be slaves. Driver's license, passport, social security, them slave papers, them your free papers to move about on the land as if you free. Right, that's your hard pass to get around on the land.
Right.
If you don't have an ID, they can take your ass to jail and try to figure out who you are. The $1 million questions is, why do they give a damn who I am?
Right.
Right. Look, about 2 years ago, I went to jail. Right. When they pulled me over, the police said, I'm trying to find out who you are. I said, I'm trying to find out who you are.
Right.
Right. They foreign occupiers. The police are foreign occupying military.
Slave
catchers. And they trace straight back to slave patrols, and that's how you know. And they handbook trace right back to London, England, where they are given their instructions from.
Yep. Somebody said why Dred Scott wasn't trying to say that he was an indigenous person. Maybe he was, and they just calling him black. Right? Because it's another dude. Hold on, it's another dude, William Dungy. This dude, right? According to Illinois law at the time, Dungy was thought to be a man of color. He stood to lose many of his rights because his brother-in-law was trying to say that he was a black man. The trial was held in October of 1855. The same, right around the same time as Dred Scott. And Lincoln won the case, and he proved that he wasn't black. He actually was a foreigner because he was actually a Portuguese. He actually was Portuguese. So he wasn't a native.
That made him a white person in law.
Yeah, right. So yeah, and so we already know about the black Negro color thing, the reclassification. That's not us, man. Let's go on. Now, this is what I want to point out about these guys, because these guys are the killer clowns that we talk about. That I talk about. The guys who set up the COINTELPRO operations to protect the North Gate, they say, or the Federal Reserve jurisdiction, which is 13. If you count that star right there, that'd be 13. It'd be DC, Big Mama seat, and that's why they got it laid out like in a feminine. If you go look at the ley lines of DC, you'll see that it's laid out in a feminine, in a matriarch type layout, right? So it says that they was to protect national security, these guys. And these are the same guys who they coming out to the blackest screamingest. And these are the same guys who signed the Executive Order 6102, which robbed us for all our gold, because we was the ones that had to go. And then also they signed House Joint Resolution 192, which put us into the CI system. So we got to get into it. I'm trying to go fast because we got a whole bunch of slides. We already got Walter Plicker. All right, this is another key pivot point that the Pan-African guys don't talk about. Rod, they don't talk about Carlos Linnaeus, and it was several other guys that came out and bagged his philosophy. And so his philosophy was that the white man is the Europeans, and that the Asian man is the yellow man, and that the African is the black man, and American is the red man. We the real red man. Oklahoma is what it means, red clay dirt, which is all the way from East Texas, all the way going almost to Florida. You can find this red clay dirt. That's us. Mississippi clay dirt. That's what Rod call it. Yeah, so this is where they get the black, white, color line paradigm. This dude Carlos Linnaeus. Right?
I want to point them out to you. Go to the Asians.
Go ahead, Rod.
You see the Asians that said they yellow, or what's the other word?
Tiny.
You ever heard of a Tawny Moore?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to point out.
Yeah, that's fire. Yeah, thank you for that, Rod. I heard that before. Yeah, so yeah, this is the oh, we black, oh, we white. It's all Carlos Linnaeus type of paradigm. All right, yeah, we already read that one. Yeah, so he these guys go, right? The 13 Shriners, right? They came over here. Doc, break that down. And these guys would have they claim these are the guys that eventually would claim to be looking for the rise of a black messiah, right? These same guys. And they set up the COINTELPRO operations, these guys. And they working for
read that section
by way of the black nobility.
Read that COINTELPRO for people that's watching.
COINTELPRO counterintelligence program, covert operation, was officially formed and launched in 1956. It actually started before that. It actually started in the 1930s. They called it. They didn't call it COINTELPRO operations. They named it officially COINTELPRO operations in 1956. Originally initiated to target the Communist Party, the program eventually expanded throughout the 60s to survey and disrupt various civil rights and anti-war and feminist organizations before being officially dismantled and discontinued in the spring of 1971. But they still, that shit's still going on. They just changed the name.
They rebranded as Readiness Exercise 1984, but it was discovered in 1984, and the authors was Oliver North and I think Poindexter, who got caught up in the Iran-Contra scandal.
That's deep. I'm gonna do a breakdown on that. Yeah, so you see, they rocking the feds with the Begali on it, and this guy Truman is involved. Truman is the one Malcolm X. When Malcolm X was in jail, he wrote a letter to Truman, and so Truman called this guy J. Edgar Hoover, right? Who like young boys, really, who had collected dirt on all the people in D.C. He called Hoover and told him, "Hey man, you just keep an eye on this radical." He called him radical Muslim. That's what he called Malcolm X, a radical Muslim. You need to keep an eye on this guy Malcolm Little. And J. Edgar Hoover said, "Oh yeah, we know we are familiar with Little because of his father. His father was connected with the Marcus Garvey movement, right? Yeah. So these guys is already on it. All right, hold on, go back. All right, we're gonna get to the. We're finna get to. But this right here talking about how Rockefeller is really he's Ashkenazi, and he's a Zionist. He's a Zionist, man. So we can from this part we can see that the people that's influencing this African narrative and putting it into the education system, and the people that's running this whole narrative is gonna be coming from these small hats, whether they come from the Germany or Russia. But they like I say, they puppet guys and middlemans and frontmans for the guys who really running the game. These dark Venetians. All right, here's another one. Look at this. This is what they say they was trying to prevent the rise of a black messiah. These same guys, J. Edgar Hoover in his game.
At least read the first paragraph.
I got you. J. Edgar Hoover, through the FBI intelligence COINTEL program in the 1960s, exclusively sought to prevent the rise of a black messiah, to protect the existing political order and prevent radical social upheaval.
There's one thing that misspelled. This FBI's illegal COINTELPRO.
Okay.
It's illegal. That means it was criminal the whole time they was doing it.
Mm-hmm. That's right. This right here was a movement, and then this is why it goes back to the MAG. If you want to, for the guys that still believe in the Bible, you remember when they was out to Moses. You remember when they was out to Yahshua, where Herod sent 3 wise men, the Magi, these magicians or these priests, to sort out Yahshua and then report back to him so he can have them killed. So these guys in the front of all these hospitals got this statue where they holding the kid, because they after the children, y'all. These are the same guys who set up Walt Disney. These are the in Disneyland. These are the same guys who run the circus, because they are, like I said, they rock our crowns like they know about the mounds, but they're a whole bunch of clowns in real life, my nigga. In real life, they some clowns, and they the ones that set up all the Six Flags where kids come up missing. Yeah, man, these are the same guys who after us, man. Now here's another small hat connection, right? About Melvin Hershovich, who was the one and he handed this African paradigm, the myth. Notice they say myth of a Negro past. He handed this African paradigm. Y'all know about Melvin Hershovich, right? Why don't the Pan-African guy?
Well, since you got it up, read the first paragraph. When you pull up a new one, at least read the first paragraph so they have a.
Jewish American anthropologist Melvin J. Hershovich revolutionized the Black American paradigm. Listen to that, y'all. He the one that created the Black American paradigm by debunking pervasive myths that enslaved Africans lost all ties to their heritage. Through intensive ethnography, I'm not good at reading out loud. I'm spitting and getting nervous.
It say through the intensive ethnography and the concept of cultural relativism, he proved that African Americans retained a rich, distinct African culture in the New World.
Go ahead.
But they ain't really talking about African culture though.
Nah. Look, so he the one that handed these. I think these guys Nigerian, right? He handed these guys African paradigm, and keep in mind he a small hat. So here we go with this, coming back to the small hats, trying to tell us, trying to gaslight us into who the hell we are. Why is they always tied into with this kind of tell us why the small hats who really are the like Rod said, the money handlers for these black Venetians, they the money guys that they control the like the Rothschilds, right? Why are these small hat guys always trying to tell us where we from? You know what I'm saying? This is crazy.
So that brings about a question.
Go ahead.
In the Conjure War, you got to do just several things you got to do. One thing you got to do is called maintenance to conjure. Okay. That means once you do the conjure, you have to be doing your due diligence to bring about the result of which you conjured the magic to do.
Okay.
Right? So this is part of the maintenance of the conjure.
Mm-hmm.
Push the agenda that would make us question what side of the water we come from.
Just like the George Washington challenge. Go ahead.
Right. So now they telling us who it is that's doing the dirt by not directly. Like, for instance, with that section I read at the end where it said that he proved that the African Americans retain a rich, then you got the word distinct. When they say distinct, that means it's unique to itself. And then they claim this African culture in the New World. But by it being a distinct culture in the New World, it don't have to be African. It just got to be the dark-skinned people that want to believe they're from Africa.
Right. So the great work, right? Look, they call it, this shit the great work. Look, they saying that the myth, and keep in mind what a myth is, the myth of a Negro past. So this shit is a myth. It ain't no reality, it's a myth. He created, then he wrote the whole black American paradigm, and then handed the textbook. These same textbooks would later be the ones that they teach in school about the African paradigm. Now, why is the small hats always coming up when you talking about us being gaslight? You know what I'm saying? I'm about to get into the videos in a minute though. All right, me and Rod already went over this about for you African pan guys that still pumping the African panhandler, the African panhandlers. Man, look, we already went over W.D. Du Bois and all the guys that was involved with a lot of the guys that was trying to really make some shape, they got whacked, like LaPriest Lumumba, right? All the guys that's meeting up with this guy who was really a Boule, who was really a Freemason, right?
He was a Huguenot.
Yeah, Huguenot. I got them pictures in here. This dude, let me go back to that. Right here. This is it right here, Rod. He went to Harvard. Come on, man. You know, I got even, we could drop the mic on them. He went to Harvard. He was a Freemason. And he was a member of the Boule, the Black Boule, Sigma Phi Sigma.
He's one of the founders.
Yeah, one of the founders of this. And you know what the Boule is all about? They gatekeepers. So, man, don't listen to no Pan-African guy coming trying to tell you that W.D. Du Bois was this shit. Go ahead, Roy.
You got to make a distinction in Pan-Africanism because you got two schools of thought under the Pan-African banner. Now, remember, Marcus Garvey was deeply at odds with W.E.B. Du Bois.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Marcus Garvey is in the history book is referred to as the father of Pan-Africanism. But also in the history books, Du Bois is the father of Pan-Africanism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why is that? This is the difference. Garvey was telling us to form a confraternity with the people in Africa because they was being colonized the same as us over here. And if we don't communicate with them, we won't never know Frantz Fanon, right? Blackface, white mask.
Mm-hmm.
We won't never know that kind of information if we don't go to their academics over there to find out what they discovering as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the W.E.B. Du Bois, he was a Pan-African in the sense that he wanted us all to believe that we all came from Africa. It's two different in the paradigm.
Right.
So in order to confuse you about Pan-Africanism, this is why you have two fathers of Pan-Africanism.
Mm.
Now, neither one of them is really the father of Pan-Africanism. The birthplace of Pan-Africanism was the Liberia movement.
Go ahead.
Let that sink in. Because the original goal when they started the Liberia movement was to deport all of the indigenous people of this land to Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
The American Colonization Society.
That's right.
Under President Monroe. Right? So there's a difference in studying with Africans and believing you from Africa. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Right. It's a difference in forming a universal brotherhood, right, to fight against the white supremacists and becoming a white supremacist pushing the same doctrine.
Right.
A similar doctrine. So they confuse us in our historical narratives. If we don't know that when the French came over here, there was the Huguenots that led them, and when the Spanish came over, it was the conquistadors that led them, and all of them was melanated.
That's right.
We won't never be able to unravel it.
That's right. Hey, this dude Karl Marx and his connection with the other brother C.L.R. James. He said that he stole his ideology because he wrote the book The Black Jacobs, right? The usurper. Yeah, that's another connection we had right there. But that's okay, hold on. Yeah, French Huguenot. We already broke that down. He was a French Huguenot, the Jacobins. This is another key pivot point too, that me and Rod be talking about the Emergency Banking Relief Act, where they labeled us as the legally the American people, which is us, as the enemy. Right? Hold on. Get to this part. Now keep it. Remember, I told you that Walter, we had that fly by Walter Plecker, and he reclassified the indigenous people of Virginia as colored. Now, who they calling colored? This brother is a native, and they, like I say, they put this Jim Crow shit up and started calling us coloreds. So who was being called coloreds? If he reclassified us to coloreds and Negroes, who were the ones being called colored, bro? And you know about the Jim Crow. I'm trying to get through this fast because I got a whole bunch of videos we got to watch too. Hey, Rod, the Indian training school. Now these Slavics and these other guys that were brought over here, they had to train them to be like us. Rod showed me this receipt. Rod, you want to say something on this before I go to the next one?
Yeah. So these people that you're looking at, zoom in on their faces, Elder. These are a mixture of Southeast Asians and Basque people. So when they had the Indian schools right here, they was actually literally teaching our culture to these people that would later be called Native Americans. That's what they was there for. Remember, it's a clip that's on Instagram when I was talking to Topcatz. And I was saying that they learned our tribal dances using the 1-2-step method, because they don't have it in their soul because they ain't us.
Mm-hmm.
But them Bloods and them Crips, B walking and C walking, them second line dancers down in New Orleans, that's natural.
Right.
If it ain't in your DNA, it's not natural. It looks unnatural. So somebody had clipped that voiceover out of me and Topcatz talking, and they actually put the video clip, so you could see the difference and how it looked when it's natural versus how it looked when you learn it by the square dance method, is what it's called, 1-2-step method.
Mm-hmm. But they train these people to replace us. While they put us as blacks and colors, they will later give these people our the names of our tribe and start replacing us. That's why these are the people they use to replace us with their cellular colonialism. Now look, also like I say, Ho Shin, because you got some of the people that's calling themselves native too, they look Chinese, but the original ones that came over here doing Ho Shin, Doc talk about it in Let's Set the Record Straight. They were the dark-skinned ones. Look how they worship in this dark-skinned so-called Chinese lady versus the rest of them, the pale-looking ones, right? Look at that. Did you know that's dark-skinned Chinese? But every time on TV, they only show you these guys. They don't never show you the originals, right? These people are Arab. Go ahead, bro. What'd you say?
They do the same thing in Japan, the Philippines, Cambodia, India. They don't show you Dravidians in India. They show you what they call the Aryan, which is the usurpers.
Right. Right.
See, that lady on the right look like a Basque.
Right. Right here. They start getting lighter and lighter once them Fugaloids mix back in. These are the original. These are the people that came over here in 458 and landed in California and began mixing with us. That's why you see a lot of Asian features on the West Coast. Right? Now here's these guys again. These are the same guys at the secret treaty of Verona, at the meeting at Jekyll Island, where they're the same guys, because Woodrow Wilson was a member of these guys, the Killer Clowns, and signed the Federal Reserve Act. All right, we talked about the Dred Scott. This right here, there we go. These are the people. These are the people on the West Coast. This is West Coast natives, right? Hold on.
We did a whole video on them when we were showing them where the actual reservation that belonged to the ones that call themselves Bloods in California.
Yeah.
They reservation that they were supposed to round them up and send them to is in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But because they refused to leave their land, they just reclassified them
as black Negroes.
What's up with it, man? I got Superior in the building.
But they remember that who they is. So when they came up and started calling themselves Bloods, they immediately referred to them as a gang.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the Dog Pound, man.
1724. The French, I think it was the French, the Huguenots. They the ones that came out with this black.
Hey Ken, I got some red Jaguar frames for you.
People first in New Orleans.
I got some red Jaguar frames for you.
Christian codes.
I sent one the Shrugs already.
Codes. Why don't the
and I got a pair for you.
They will talk
about I got two left after that. I got three right now, but I gotta make sure I get you a pair of them.
I want to go through the rest of this. All right, this is the same guys that these are the guys, and these are the guys, and that's Doc Grandpa right there. That's Doc Grandpa from Sudan. Keep in mind, these are the guys that Melvin Herstovich was handing the books to. This guy, look at the guy with the fez on. Dirty Moore the whole time though. These are the guys, right? That he was handing that.
Since you brought up Pop's grandfather, you remember how what happened to his father? Them Dirty Moors trapped him down there and caught him to a summit and killed him.
Yep, shot him in the back of the head. Yep. And you know, they say Doc said that
I
Haile
got you,
Selassie is the
fam.
one that gave him the drop on his dad.
But that's because they was calling the meeting the leadership, and Haile Selassie was the highest ranked leader in the area. So when he called for them to have this meeting, this is where they catch him at. They already knew who we were over here. They just didn't want them over there to decide to spill the beans.
Mm-hmm.
Malachi's father would have told him the truth if they didn't kill him.
Mm-hmm. I think the only survivor was his uncle, and then the only survivor, they killed like a couple people out of his family. I think the only one that survived was his uncle.
Mm-hmm. And then remember, they sent him over a delegate, an Ansar delegate from Sudan to come to New York when he was in Sarula.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was one of his cousins. And he gave...
Hey, y'all, this the Asian nigga that me and Shan was doing the AU, the OA, that started that shit from Africa. I didn't know he was kin to Malachi Z. York. We just tore that nigga ass up the other day. Asian ass nigga.
So this is how it worked in the redemption process. If you from the Blue House, you got to redeem the fatherland first.
Mm-hmm.
This is why Malachi had to teach Islam all them years, because he had to first redeem his Mahdi line.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he realized, because after his cousin came over here and they was going over all the information in the family history record, remember, he got a big old text called the Sacred Record of the United Nubian Nation of Murs.
Yeah, I got these niggas right here. I got it back there. It's on the couch.
Let's set the record straight is an excerpt. Mm-hmm. It's not the whole volume. Let's set the record straight. He got several excerpts. He tell you right on the page an excerpt from this larger body of work called the Sacred Record. This is his family history that members of his family was keeping record, so that when they find a redeemer in the family, they can give him the whole record. When you give him the record, it's going to also give him information that's going to allow him to see what's going on with his motherland, right? New York was a big mama on the land.
That's right.
Right? So in order for him to be able to redeem his motherland, that's how the Moors got able to infiltrate into the Nubian nation, is because when he started mentioning the word Mur, often pronounced Moor, but it's spelled different, they took that as, oh, this nigga about to figure it out. And then when he did a series of lectures, he had a series of lectures he did on the Moors. Mm-hmm. In their literature, right? Now, he hooked up with some Moors, but all of the Moor, the ground zero of the Moorish paradigm, Noble Ali created the Moorish Science Temple because he knew that the Moorish Zionist Jews was going to come infiltrate, and he wanted to contain the fallout to the Moorish Science Temple. Right? This is why he wrote the Caveat Emptor. Did you ever get to find that?
Say it again.
The Caveat Emptor that he put in the Moorish literature.
I'm gonna do some research on that. I got you. I got it written down. I'm gonna get you an AI book down on that.
Anyway, so he didn't want the war. It was supposed to be strictly intellectual, educate yourself above the condition conflict, right? But they started murdering people that was starting to become educated enough to see the difference between a good Moor and a dirty Moor. Mm-hmm. They started murdering them. And one of the first people they wanted to get rid of was Noble Ali himself. That's why they gave him to the police to get beat down like that. Mm-hmm. Right? So now that they got him out the way, it's internal conflict, right? It's Mealy Eel versus C. Kirkman Bay.
Yeah.
right? So now they trying to fight for dominance and superiority and who's going to be the heir to Noble Drew Ali. So this is what all of this is. So Noble Drew Ali told you in the Caveat Emptor, he give you the blueprint to recognize the difference between a good Moor and a dirty Moor.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, he said I could count the number of Moors that's going to make it on one hand and have fingers left. The most that can make it and have a plural number of fingers left is 3.
Go ahead.
Right? So he telling you, right? And then he say in the literature, woe unto any man who call himself a Jew. Because he was fighting the Moorish Zionist Jews the whole time. When he started the first temple in Newark, New Jersey, it was because that's where he found the Moorish Zionist Jews at, and he was able to go sit and listen to their lectures and find out what they was doing behind the scenes.
Yep, I ran across that. Go ahead.
So once he figured out what they was doing, now he got something to work with. He got a paradigm to work from. And then you had a lot of different people come out and take a piece of the puzzle to try to build something that allow us to be able to see what's going on. If you go to the Nation of Islam, they didn't allow pale faces to join. By the time Malcolm X was about to get assassinated, one of the last things he said, the Nation of Islam has been thoroughly infiltrated by the FBI and the New York Police Department. What they look like.
Right? They gotta be look like us, but not us. All right, this is the last slide. Then we're gonna go to the videos because we getting close. Yeah, Rod. This is what everybody they got against Marcus Garvey, man. They saying, could you break that down? Because he in the picture with Walter Plecker, man. What's Marcus Garvey? Why he with Walter Plecker, the same guy we just read, that was reclassifying all the us as Negroes of colors. People got a problem with Marcus Garvey, but I think could you go in on that a little bit?
Okay, now remember the picture Noble Drew Ali had his hand out to the left, and I told you that mean they coming in hostile on the left bump.
Right.
What side is he standing on?
The left side.
You don't have to agree with your enemy. You have to try to work out a resolution to the conflict. You're gonna have to meet them.
Go ahead.
You're gonna have to sit down with these people and find out what's making them tick. Who you working?
Malcolm X meeting with the Ku Klux Klan from the nation. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Malcolm didn't care 2 drops of shit about the KKK.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing he discovered and Elijah taught him in secret was that the KKK was started by some Negroes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's deep. The Servile Negro Order. All right, now let's get out of this because we got that was the we're gonna get to the good part. We gotta run through some of these clips real quick before we run out of time. Let me roll that first clip real quick, man. It's about to get interesting, man. Let's see, these guys.
When I was in Nigeria, I did not know of the African American story until I got to America. And found out.
That's true.
Right? I did not know anything about slavery.
And white people, that's slavery.
Hold on. That was a Nigerian that said that he ain't never heard of the African slave trade until he came to America. Now, how is that happen? Well, let's roll.
Gaslighting is a manipulation strategy when another person tries to make you question your own reality. They make you feel like you're crazy. All right? So talk about gaslighting. You saw the picture on their phone. And they say, you ain't see no picture. You just tripping your insecurity again. But you saw the picture. But the person makes you believe that you are crazy, that you're nuts. And you say no, and then you start to question it. And then they keep saying it. See, your insecurity, that's why I can't be with you. Okay? Now, the person told you that you could spend the money. But then they say, I didn't tell you that. I didn't tell you to spend the money. But you said, yes, you did. Yes, you did. I know you did. No. And they make you start to question your own reality. Why would you?
Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which one person systematically causes another to doubt their own memory, perception, or sanity. This is achieved through denying obvious facts, distorting events, diminishing the other person's emotional responses, and consistently reinforcing the idea that the issue lies not in the initiator's behavior, but in the misinterpretation of the targeted individual. On a neuropsychological level, this dynamic can trigger chronic stress, undermine confidence in one's cognitive abilities, and create a growing dependence on the manipulator's interpretation of reality. Gaslighting is a well-recognized red flag.
So, pretty much, I got more clips, but pretty much they gaslighting us by telling we from Africa, telling them us they erased all of our greats out of history and they paint them white. I mean, it's a lot of gaslighting going on here, and it seems like the small hats are the middlemans on this, bro. What you think about that gas? How they gaslight us? Because they come on my Facebook talking about man, y'all some Africans, and then these they don't really, some of them don't even got pictures. You know what I'm saying? But they got like a rebel flag up or something, and they study gaslighting us. But now we know ain't no more. They out of gas now. The gaslighting gig is up. What's your take on that, Rob?
Remember what my background was last night when I sent you there? Yeah. So they can only gaslight you if you got any ounce of unsure. If you got any doubt about who you are, they gonna jump on your doubt. If you think you from Africa and they know you not from Africa, they gonna push that shit so hard till you become an educated fool. Let that sink in. So you got a lot of educators that actually wholeheartedly believe that everybody on earth originated in Africa. But it ain't true.
Where's the
I had some
he's a Native American?
I had some reels on my Instagram, on my Morpheus Mysticus page that I was trying to send you last night, but it wouldn't let me send them. But it's different people that's addressing this exact issue. Go ahead, roll the corn now.
Where's the white guy who thinks he's a Native American? Listen, you dummy, you're a Siberian squatter who crossed the land bridge when the frost was low. The real Native Americans are black people. You're a $5 in and you paid $5 to steal a name. You're a fake, you hockey puck. Black Americans wearing dashikis now. You look like a Chinese export. Those things are made in Wuhan. You're not from Africa. You've never even been there. You're indigenous to America. Your grandpa.
Hey, he was cutting up. Hold on.
The striking demographic fact about the Americas is that the black population of the U.S., which of course amounted at the time of the Civil War to something like 4 million people, those people did not come from Africa. They came as a result of natural population growth.
Yeah.
The slave trade to the U.S. was shut down largely in 1807, not completely, but largely. So if you look at the census data for the US in 1870, which is when black people were finally included, you'll find almost no Africans. They were, of course, native African Americans. And that's not something that people have taken on board.
All right, there you go. Now, what you saying?
See the cross?
Yeah.
On the ship.
How many African slaves
All right, we're going over there.
Mexico during the Hold on, let me put it.
How many African slaves were transported to Brazil and Mexico during the transatlantic slave trade? Approximately 4.25 million African slaves were shipped to Brazil and Mexico. How many trips were made to transport these slaves? It's estimated that around 43,750 trips were made. How long did each trip typically take? Each one-way trip took about 2 months. Can you break down the collective travel time for all of these trips? Sure. If we consider each trip taking 2 months, the total travel time would be around 80,000 months, which is equivalent to about 6,666 years of collective time. For a round trip, each journey would be about 12,000 years. How many boats would be needed to make these trips? If we assume each trip required its own boat, then approximately 40,000 boats would have been needed. How long would it take to build these boats? If it took 3 to 5 years to build a single large cargo ship, then it would have taken an incredibly long time to construct 40,000 boats. Even with an average build time of 3 years per ship, it would take 120,000 years to build them all. Even if it only took 1 year to build a ship, it would take about 40,000 years of construction. 3 to 5 years to build a single large cargo ship.
Hold on. The numbers don't add up on that slave.
When I was in Nigeria, I did not know of the African American story until I got to America. It's a
very stormy ocean. So my thing is, how did you all cook all this food for them 300 to 400 slaves? That's what I want to know. How did you, by the Atlantic Ocean being a salt lake, okay, how did you supply water for 3 months? See, all of this needs to be explained. And see, this is what people do. These so-called Pan-African people. What they do is, they get on the airplane, go to Africa, show us where they kept the slaves before the slaves came to America. But none of you ain't never took that journey. See, when you talking to me makes sense. Because you ain't never took that journey on that boat like they claiming our ancestors did, but you want us to believe this story and not question it. First of all, infection would have set up right away because they would have had pressure ulcers all over their body. Okay, you had no antibiotics to cure the infection. Okay, they was probably eating shit, so they probably had E. coli. All of these is deadly if they're not treated. But you're gonna tell me that these black people, they wouldn't have survived 2 weeks in that boat like that. They wouldn't have survived.
The Civil War was fake and it had nothing to do with slavery. There were 5 slave states in the North. Delaware didn't recognize the 13th Amendment until 1901. Several of these states kept slaves until the 1900s because you could keep their children as slaves until they were in their 20s, aka slave.
So here we are on slavevoyages.org.
More white people have been slaves on this planet than Africans by far. People don't talk about the Barbary slave trade. The Barbary slave trade was all white people in slavery. Really? For sure. This happened, this continued after the slave trade here was ended. No way. That continued for decades. Wow. Those Nigerian kings, the chiefs are having press conferences apologizing for selling Africans into the slave trade. They was responsible for that. Nobody speaks about how it was the Republicans, not the Democrats, that led all of the legislature to free the slaves. It was never the Democrats in the first place. Oh, wasn't Abe Lincoln? Abe Lincoln was forced to do this. He didn't want to do this.
Of the Israeli government holding a private convention here in the United States. One of the people in attendance at this.
The major problem of Israel is with the young generation of the black community.
You know, I wonder why Israel's biggest problem is the young generation of the black community when we're all the way over here. We don't have no land. We don't have no communities. We don't have no commodities. We don't have any resources. We don't have any bombs. We don't have any nuclear weapons. We don't have any missiles. You know, we don't have any military. You know, why would we be the biggest threat? Wouldn't the biggest threat be the people you're actually in war with? What do we have to do with anything y'all got going on? Could it be that the conspiracies about identity theft are true? Perhaps. Because I doubt
of the Israeli government holding a private convention here in the United States. One of the people in attendance at this secret meeting was Judith Varney Schorer. She's a former Israeli consul general who was operating out of Atlanta. She was one of the main people saying that the biggest problem that they had was young black people in the United States. But don't worry, they've got some black leaders on the payroll.
The major problem of Israel is with the young generation of the black community. The problem of Israel is with the young generation of the black community. Black is with the young generation of the black community.
I got a question right there, Rod. So, Rod, why with the small hats be so? I know why, because we waking up and we finding out the truth now. The younger people, the old people, still going with the old narrative, like some people, not all the old people, but some of the old people still go with the African slave. But we was beat, Harpo beat us. But the new generation, the young generation, we saying hell no, we don't believe none of the shit you saying. So we're a threat to these guys after they done stole all of our shit. Go ahead, Rod. What you got on that?
The first thing you got to ask yourself is, if we a threat, what type of threat do we pose to people in Israel? Right? Now, we know by basic reports, the world is ran based off what America produced. So if we wake up and we say, hey, wait a minute, this belongs to us. We always been here. Now we are asserting our right to our homeland. This is going to disrupt the narrative of the people in so-called Israel being God's chosen people. Now, Israel is an acronym for Isis, Ra, and El. It don't have nothing to do with no Hebrews. And if it don't got nothing to do with no Hebrews and it's tied to Isis, Ra, and El, that means it's Kemetic in source. Isis is the Greek term for Aset. Aset means the throne. She is the throne. Ra is the father god that enforces the will of the mother god with the solar flares. El is what they call Hebrew now, modern Hebrew term for netter. So they talking about if the children of Isis and Ra, the great mother and the great father, ever wake up, it would spoil the chosen people of God narrative, because God don't choose. God allow you to choose yourself, to be yourself. And because you choose yourself to be yourself, then that means that you exercising your rights from a higher level of jurisdictional supremacy. It's a brother I like to watch. I forgot his name, but one of the things he said is, he got a long name with X's and stuff in it. I don't know how to say it, but he said that birthright won't free you, jurisdiction will. The law of the land is the superior law, the great law. And the law of the land say that at the close of the age, we have an absolute right to restore the matriarchy. The matriarchy is important to us because it represents our heritable rights to own the land. We don't really own the land owns us, and we take care of the land. And if we don't realize that we are of the land, from the land, they're going to continue to push this agenda of some people that some sky daddy then chose to be the only people on earth, which always lead me to one question. If you was actually the chosen people of God, why he didn't create a homeland for you when he created you? We got a homeland. We own it. Right? So if we at home and we supplying all of the finances to the so-called Israelis, all of their military is provided from America. All of their espionage bankrolling is coming from America. The CIA created with the KGB and MI5 what we call today the Mossad. They were the prototypes by which the Mossad was developed, right? The Russians rebelled against the Israelis before we did. And that's why they had what was called the Cold War. The Cold War was called the arms race. Who can build the most bombs, right? Now, Putin rise up from the dirt, just like most of us do. And he's seen the same thing Hitler saw. These tiny hats is over there doing the work or the bidding of somebody that they can't see. We call them our moon priests, the unknown priesthood, the secret priesthood that operate in secret because they don't want the public to see who they are, because that would also spoil the narrative. So once you spoil the narrative and the rightful owners step up and say, hey, we have a redemption process. Only one of us have to follow it. All of us don't have to know it. But if one of us follow the redemption process, we're going to end up at a point where they're going to know that we know who we are, we know what side of the water we came from, and we know that there was more than one George Washington. And that the George Washington Challenge was a construct of a secret society that was operating on behalf of European powers. The Royal Europeans was the dirty Moors that came over here. The Royal Americans was the MUUR, the MERS, that was already here, right? And so they're gonna push this paradigm because they don't want us to assert our tribal rights. Tribal rights just for all of the tribes. No one tribe is bigger than the other under tribal rights. All of the tribes have to be spoken for, even if you don't like them, right? So we know that we always found a way to work our issues between the warring tribes out when it was just us on the land. But when we had people come over here that's not us, they continue to stoke the flames by infiltration, subversion, and military activities in our communities, which is why they was calling the young black male an endangered species for years. Because they had us killing each other because we didn't know who the real enemy was.
Hey, I got a couple more raw. Then we're gonna get out. I gotta get these couple more out because it's some critical pieces right here.
What if I said I didn't think history was real? Hear me out.
Goals. And
why is the government lying to us about history? There is a civilization as recent as 100 years ago that was omitted from the history books called the Tartarian Empire, and it was technologically far superior. They were able to convert atmospheric pressure into electricity, and as a result of unlimited free energy, they were able to direct their focus towards unity, oneness, peace, love, and harmony, which we don't see in today's society as there is no profit for evil people in times of peace. Tartaria was a country with its own government, its own flag, and its own place on the map. Its territory was huge, covering over 3 million square miles, and if you look back far enough, the country exists on maps predating the 19th century. The Great Wall of China, which is located on China's northern border, is believed to have been built by the Tartarians, although history would say otherwise. There are openings on the wall that are only accessible from the north face of the wall, or from Tartaria. The world government destroyed an entire utopia and kept it hidden because they don't want humanity knowing that there is sustainability in the collective without the interference of heads of state.
So all of our history is fake. There were castles and big, massive buildings in America before Columbus in 1492, before he even got here. So if there were already all these massive castles, massive buildings, and all these people before 1492, then how did they have the technology while Christopher Columbus is coming over on the 3 ships that they used? And where are those ships? How come we don't see those ships? You have Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon in Arizona. So were people from Egypt in Arizona design things the same fashion as Egypt in the Grand Canyon? I mean, think of how far the distance is from that. And how did they travel across to get there? Even if you went by boat, and then you, I guess, went across with a horse and a wagon or a horse and a chariot, it's going to take you a long time.
I'm not allowed to say certain things, but our world has more secrets than you think. Read our book.
And I gotta ask you a question right here, Rod. So we did the World's Fair cover up, and we did the Tarzian Empire tape already, but they gaslight us into thinking, oh, the people over here were savages. They were living in teepees and running around with dongs on. But they don't talk about the Great World Fair cover up. 1893 when Chicago, 1901 Buffalo. I mean, they went on a whole campaign, and we see that these Slavics, who they talking about did all this, they don't even come over to like 1890 something, 1899. So who built all this shit? And then we already proved that it was Nubian black people over here that got enslaved. So why are they trying to gaslight us out of the whole paradigm? It's the whole paradigm of this World Fair cover up, and we was already advanced, and it had to be some of our own people helping them, because I don't see these Slavics coming over and they weren't even smart enough to overthrow us like that. What's your take on that, Rob?
Man, look, remember we did the one on the castles?
Yep. The castles are turned into prisons.
Prisons, asylums, and state buildings, right? We've been here, we've been built, we had high technology, but most of that stuff was lost in the war, in a nuclear holocaust that damn near decimated the planet. That's how we end up where we at now.
The Great Reset.
Yeah. So every so often, they have to challenge paradigms. And one of the ways they was doing it, before they dismantled everything, they had to show us with the World Fairs what was already here. That's just what they call a living record.
Yeah, they study line, man, with this gaslighting. So, and then they're gonna talk about, oh, that's how it was made out of plastic, and then we built that in 3-4 days or 2 weeks. And then we knocked it down. Yeah, that's a bunch of crap. Like me and you proved that the Brooklyn Bridge was there before 1492. So who the hell built the Brooklyn Bridge if Columbus didn't come? Yeah, like the Brooklyn Bridge and the Yankee Stadium. The Yankee Stadium was already there. So who building all these big ass coliseums? If they telling us Christopher Columbus came over here, and then how many years was it till they built that type of shit? It's a bunch of crap, man. It's a bunch of gaslight, right? The
White House is a perfect example of what you're talking about, because they say the White House was supposed to be built by slaves.
Mm-hmm.
The White House was already here. The White House that's why it's so much of it under the ground that people don't even know about, because it's a much larger building than what they're telling everybody. They didn't exhume the whole building, right? But they got recent footage of construction where they would exhume the sizable portion of the underground part.
Mm-hmm.
That was because during one of the wars, where it was an island that used to be in the Atlantic Ocean, where the Bermuda Triangle that got bombed with a nuclear bomb. That's why it sunk. When it got bombed, it created a tidal wave that buried everything under the sludge that became later soil and grew grass, and it looked like a mound. They knew where this stuff was from the ancient records in the Vatican. They got maps in the Vatican basement library that's so old, you have to, they had to press them between glass to preserve them because they start crumbling from age, thousands of years old. They got scrolls in Tibet. You can see, if you get a book called Unto Thee I Grant, The Economy of Life, you can see a picture of one of the monks standing in front of ancient scrolls. Those scrolls have historical records that go back millions of years, right? Humanity has been on the planet way longer than they telling us. That's why that Lucy story is some garbage. Because we had it's buildings all over the world that was contemporary with Lucy, but we don't think they that old because we don't think we've been here that long.
Hey, you right on the money, Rod. You right on the money. Hey, y'all, hit that like, hit that subscribe. I just got a couple more, Rod. Hey, y'all, we got we want to show Rod some love for the class. We got the Cash App and PayPal rolling down the bottom. We're gonna put it on the screen in a minute. We got a couple more, Rod. And it's another big thing they use in Rod to try to because guys arguing about this. Let me play these couple clips.
I live at 3392 64th Street, Halo, Iowa.
Oprah was finally in the first series, and we gave her a DNA test. Basically, the next day, she went to South Africa to announce that she was opening what became the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy. She was in an auditorium like 75,000 people or something, and she announced that she just had the test and that she was Zulu. It broke on CNN. I was sitting in my living room minding my own business and said, Oprah Winfrey's a Zulu. So I called Rick Kittles, and I said, Rick, did you tell Oprah she was a Zulu? He goes, no, man, she made that up herself. It's a true story. It's a true story. I would lie to make you laugh, but I'm telling you a true story. I said, Rick, are you in your lab? He said, yeah. I said, is anybody there? He said, no. I said, when the results come in, make her Zulu, man. I said, you back there making it up anyway. Nobody believe you could take some spit and figure out a tribe? What, are you crazy?
These DNA tests for ethnicity are entertainment value only.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul.
When I handed Vi the certificate, she got extremely emotional about it. She wept, and it meant so very much.
People want to believe.
They want to believe they've gotten an answer.
And it's not fair of us to let them believe that we're giving them certain answers because scientifically, we just can't.
Hank Greeley is concerned that the science isn't really there yet for you to be giving them the name of a tribe.
I think for most companies, I would be concerned too.
But what about your own company?
We have
He
the
didn't
largest,
exclude you. He included you.
but we have the largest set of sequences from Africa. And so with that, we're able to provide some level of probability in terms of frequency.
But he would say that even though you have the largest database, it's still small on the scope of things.
As I said, I share those concerns.
About yourself.
For DNA.
And that's the rub.
All right, so you took your DNA test?
I was born in Africa. I'm from.
I didn't ask if you were born in Africa. I asked, did you take your DNA test?
Yeah, you gotta let them finish. You gotta let them finish.
Let me do up. I'm from the Lemba tribe already, so I'm not gonna take a DNA test. When I'm from the Lemba
Then
tribe.
how would they know that I am from the Limba tribe if you're not taking your DNA test? And then how can you tell us that we need to take it if Africans aren't taking it? So you know for a fact that they're lying to us because you're one of the main people that aren't taking it. So who are they even comparing us to say that we are part of the clans, as you say?
When African nationals came to Sierra Leone, they came into the north. Why you have Lembas, you have Sosos, you have Mandingos, you have Timnis. If someone from Lemba, they took those people's DNA test, and then they came back they got there in the database and they compared it.
DNA tests are not real. DNA tests cannot be used to find your ancestors because your ancestors aren't here.
This business, genetic genealogy, is fraught with limitations. For one thing, it can only provide information about a tiny fraction of our ancestors. Because we have DNA from our mothers, And after our fathers, almost all of our DNA gets shuffled and remixed every generation, making it impossible to trace what comes from whom. There are just 2 bits of DNA that remain pure: the Y chromosome, which passes directly from father to son, and something called mitochondrial DNA, which passes unchanged from mother to child. Hank Greeley, a law professor at Stanford University, has studied this new field. He worries that people don't realize just how many ancestors they actually have.
8 generations ago, both you and I had 200.
Hey, we ain't gotta play the whole thing. They get the picture. It's for entertainment purposes only. But you got Pan-African guys like Jabari. He getting up saying, "Oh, my DNA said I'm from Africa. What tribe you from? I'm from a lot of tribes." Man, Rod, what do you think about that, Rod? About these Pan-African guys talking about, "Oh, y'all, did you get a DNA test?"
Look, if I'm gonna take a DNA test, I might as well take a pregnancy test. If I'm gonna take a DNA test, I'm a grown ass man and expect to find my ancestry. I'm gonna take a pregnancy test to see when the next time I'm gonna have a baby. That's how absurd it sounds to me. It's the same level of absurdity. Listen, when I first came and told everybody that the fine print on there said for entertainment purposes only, people argued us up and down. You remember how they heckled me in the comments?
I remember.
Then we came out and showed the Oprah clip, and then we showed the scientists that was saying that it's entertainment value at best. Then I pointed out the fact that anything that's for entertainment, it can be edited to underline the entertainment value that you're seeking. Right? So I don't get no stock to their DNA analysis. For one, it's like they said, you either gonna have a Y chromosome connection. Well, we know that the oldest Y chromosome is the Perry family. We know that already. And we know that the women, that is 12 distinct chains of mitochondria, 13 distinct chains of mitochondria that traces back to the common mother. They don't have any mitochondria from Lucy, right? The oldest mitochondria they found was a lady in South Carolina.
Yeah, Henrietta Lex.
So while we sitting here waiting on them to develop some kind of DNA test to prove we from Africa, right? It's like waiting on the next movie to come out. It's still in the making because it ain't been made yet. The DNA analysis that we're looking for haven't occurred yet because they're not doing mitochondrial testing. They're not doing Y chromosome testing. They're doing general genome scoping, right? That means they're just looking at it. And then the only DNA test that really is valid is parent to child because it's the easiest one to read. That means that a paternity test, but paternity DNA test to determine who your mom and daddy is, that's the best they can do. They might be able to find some of your relatives that got the same parents or your parents' parents' children that share the same mitochondria with your mother or the same Y chromosome with your father. But other than that, that's just entertainment. I might as well be the character in one of these superhero movies if I'm gonna be the character in the DNA test. They all entertainment. I'm not entertained. It doesn't entertain me at all. Because I could see through the BS. I know it's all fabricated in order to push a narrative. The only narrative that they want to push is any narrative that can disassociate the original people of this land from being tied to this land. That's it. That's the whole narrative, the whole story of what they're trying to accomplish. If they can't disassociate us from the land, remember I told you, Inca mean people. Most of the names of the tribes, when you translate it to the tribal dialect, mean people. So when we say we the people, it's only talking about the tribes of the land, the original tribes of the land. So we had a right to awaken each other because I am my brother's keeper, I'm my sister's keeper. I'm my mother's guardian. I'm her right-hand man, come to bust their ass upside the head. So that being understood, they can't run the same narrative and expect it not to be challenged with facts. Because they even telling you, the people that's doing the DNA is telling you, how can you take a drop of spit and tell you what tribe you is on the other side of the world? The people that's doing the DNA test telling you this. And then you tell me, because I say that the DNA test is some fraudulent BS, that I don't know what I'm talking about. But the people that's taking the test is telling you they can't do all that. The DNA test is not made for that. It's not designed to do that. Right? They have a better chance reading your DNA to determine what your specialty skill set might be than to determine who your ancestry is. Why do you think they keep screaming where your paperwork at? What paperwork you talking about? Your family Bible and your family book before the Bible came over here. The family book used to be a continuous written record of the tribe that was kept at every Big Mama house. Why do you think they was burning our houses down like that under the pretense of KKK racism? They knew the Big Mamas. They knew where our banks was. They sent economic hitmen and deified them as outlaw bank robbers so that they can install a central banking system. And the central bank is the 13 provinces that they set up that they was going to use to claim our land as their own if they won the war. I'm sorry, we won, they lost, they can kiss my ass.
Hey, Raw, I got like 3 more videos, then we can get out. I just want to play this because I thought it was interesting about how the Small Hat set up the NAACP, and they that Rosa Parks actually was a CIA agent. Check this out, Raw.
ACP had in fact recruited her in advance, and they said she'll be an ideal plaintiff, and they'd actually said, go sit on the bus in this particular place, and then we'll have the lawsuit against the bus line. It is true that was not, it wasn't like she spontaneously sat down on the bus and then they sued. That doesn't take away from her story. In fact, I think it makes it a cooler story. I think it's cool that they actually were like, okay, we're going to plan this out, we're going to get a good basis for a lawsuit. Rosa Parks is an attractive face for the plaintiff.
Here's some knowledge that I learned from my Jew neighbors. I live in an area where it's highly populated with a lot of Jews, and being the only kind of black over here, I hear a lot of racial slurs that they use towards me, but I turn those racial slurs into learning knowledge about what they're actually saying. Here's part 1. The NAACP. Yes, you think it's for the national advancement of colored people, but it was actually put in place to block colored people from advancing. Yes, it is founded and funded by Jews. And the reason why it was founded and funded was to go against Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was a black man who's coming over to introduce Pan-Africanism to the United States. The Jews created this to bow to him and basically get him deported back to the country where he came from. And even in his records, it showed that Marcus Garvey blamed the Jews for getting him deported. Now, you guys don't use your brain when it comes to this, because even the highest award in the NAACP is named after a Jew. The first name in the top left-hand corner, the Spring Arn Award, is named after a Jew. Like, at what point are you guys going to wake up and see that they played a major part in our formation years? Even in recent interviews, they have stated that the black culture is the main thing they need to focus on to worry about in the future for Israel and the Jews being progressed here in America. We are their biggest threat. Wake up. Everything that you see is a lie. Do your own fucking research, please. Do your own research. Because you just believe in anybody, but do your own research. Here's proof right here for people that need picture proof, that ask for picture proof. Here's the proof right here. It was never for the blacks. It was never for the blacks. Never. Next topic would be God and relationship.
The NAACP does not speak for the black community. I repeat, the NAACP.
little glass one. We'll say that for another class. But look, Rod, so what do you think, like the civil rights movement, small hats was in behind that? The small hats behind NAACP, the Jewish Defense League is starting us. All these guys like Melvin Hertzovich and Rockefeller, all these guys, small hat Zionists. And it seemed like to me, the people that want us to be gassed, and then we just heard the clip where the woman said the biggest threat was the young black youth, which verifies what he said, what the guy just said. So it seems like to me, the people who've been want us to be gaslighted, the middleman, because we found out that these guys are puppet by some dark-skinned guys who want to know their name. So it seems like to me the small hats is real involved with the gaslighting us with the African thing, and pretty much setting us up to maneuver to make them move, put them in the game and maneuver them into our position, pretty much. What's your take on that, bro? Before we get out of here.
I'm gonna point something out to you. If you go to study what Elijah Muhammad used to teach, one of the things he said is, "We not the colored people." What you mean? We not the colored people? He said the pale face is the colored people. If the pale face is gonna be advanced as colored people, and they're trying to convince us that we colored, right? All they have to do is create an organization that look like it's fighting for colored people because they told us we was colored, but we not colored. What do colored mean? Crayon colors. Red hair, green eyes. Brown hair, blue eyes, right? Even though we have all of that stuff on our genome, what's the backdrop? A coloring book. Go to a coloring book, just color the hair and color the eyes, and you have a colored person. Right? Now, the reason why I brought that up is because when you look at the picture that he was showing, those were the founders of the NAACP. And they was to advance the colored people or the colorless people, depending on how you want to look at it, agenda, right, of white supremacy. The white supremacy don't got nothing to do with skin color. It's a military doctrine. Right? If you want to know how it plays out, get the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, because that's the codex of white supremacy. That's the blueprint they follow. If you want to know how to counter the codex, the protocols, then you have to get Neely Fuller's United Independent Compensatory Code System. Because now you have a counter offensive to the white supremacist rhetoric. Now remember, the culmination of Marcus Garvey's work played out in the Philippines in the Bandung Conference, when all of the 9 so-called white nations of the world got together to form a counteroffensive to white supremacy. Right? That was before Neely Fuller was in the military getting his downloads in Japan on top of the mountain. That's what he told me when I talked to him. Now, when they got together, they started trying to figure out, who are we fighting? Where are they at? Right now, if you look at the Bandung Conference time frame, is after World War II. Right? So they know they're not fighting Germans, because the Germans is fighting the same people that we call white supremacists, but they also call them Jews. That's another name for them. And so while we struggling to figure out what's going on, we are being captivated by the entertainment storyline of a slave trade that never existed in order to disassociate us from the land while we own the land, so we never lay claim to the land by birthright. The oral tradition allows us not to need paperwork to reclaim the land. That's why everything we do has to be notice to agent is notice to principal in the public domain, in a time-stamped archivable format, retrievable for posterity, in order to know that we already told the truth about who we are, why we here, who we up against, what the war was, how we fought the war. It's all in here, Elder. We did it all. Now it's just a matter of the stragglers that's just now waking up is half crazy. So they're going to come out and attack you because they never heard this stuff before. But the ones that have been around for a while, that had a chance to review and inspect and cross-reference our receipts, they in here in the comments talk about, yeah, that's right, get them, Big Chief, get them. Get them, L, get them, right? Because they've been seeing enough receipts to know that we not making none of this stuff up. They told us, but they told us in a roundabout way, and they buried it in the books. And because it was buried in the books, Baba said, go to the library where the lies is burying the truth and dig it out, right? Larry told us we don't need no more gangbangers. We need some brain bangers. We need somebody to get into these libraries, get into these books, and find the problem solution. I'm not out here because this is recreation for me. It's not recreation. I'm not having fun. I hate social media. I'm out here because this is a mission to awaken as many of us with this stuff as I can. Look, between me and Dane, we were two of the first ones that took the brunt of the abuse from our own people about who we were. But since then, Dane been doing it longer than me. And he was an inspiration for me to do my part. And I'm always gonna love Dane Calloway. Can't nobody tell me nothing about, he could rob a dude mama tomorrow. I'm not gonna believe it. I'm not gonna believe it. I'm gonna believe you making it up to set him up. Because I've seen what they do to us. And I've seen how they handle us and mishandle us. So certain people, you can't tell me nothing about them. You can't tell me. I'm not going to go for it. Now, some people might do some stuff that I don't agree with. They got their own life to live. And they got their own path to walk. Because I don't agree with it, that don't make all the stuff I agree with that they said wrong. Right? Now, when I mentioned earlier the dude name I couldn't mention, he was on that panel. Zaya Maru, I forgot the whole thing, but he was on that panel and it was his name across the top. As soon as I seen it, I was like, that's old boy I was talking about earlier when I said I can't remember his name, when he was saying that it's not going to be genealogy or free you, but jurisdiction. If you go back last couple years, I've been talking about the only thing that we can do to overthrow the enemy is to regain jurisdictional supremacy. And the only way we can do that is we need somebody in every tribe to acknowledge what we're talking about to their own tribe, not to us, because we already know this stuff. So it's each one teach one, we all gonna reach some. So as we come out here, put ourselves on the front line of these internet streets and get attacked by all of these people that think they know something that don't know jack, right? As my pops would say, they don't know shit from Shinola. But we still had to do this because we was following the oral tradition. And the oral tradition of the tribes is the oldest communication of tribal law. And tribal law supersedes any written paperwork on the land because we was doing the tribal law through oral tradition before they wrote their first document on this land. If you go to the Indigenous Rights Act, it said we had a right to use our oral tradition. That's not a privilege. And if it's your right and you don't exercise it, that's not their fault. That's yours. All of us need to be on here now that know what's going on. The rest of them don't even got to bring the receipts now because we done already did the receipt side of the thing. They can speak from the heart so that they can get the ones that vibe on their frequency to understand we always been here, gonna always be here. And just because some interlopers interloped at the time they interloped us to usurp the tribes, that don't mean we stop being here. that don't mean that the narrative they gave us is the narrative we gonna follow, right? We know who we are. We know they killed our leaders. Anybody else that told us the truth. We know that they didn't care who it was and what they looked like. If they was telling us the truth, William Cooper, he got to go. David Wilcox, he got to go. Any of them that's telling the truth, yep, any of them that's telling the truth have to go. We don't even realize how many pale faces died trying to get information to transfer from their side of the conflict to our side. They trying to give us all kind of information, and most of us not gonna read, right? Like Ralph Epperson, The Unseen Hand, right? That's almost a 700-page book, right? Yep, The Black Hand. All of these things is necessary to put the puzzle together. It just so happened that I grew up with my mama talking to us in code. So I'm predisposed to tribal code talk. So when you hear a lecture from Malcolm, you hear one thing, I hear something else. When you hear a lecture from Elijah Muhammad, you hear one thing, I hear something else. When you hear a lecture from Farrakhan, you hear one thing, I hear something else. Because I'm catching all of the tribal codes. When I read the writings of Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey, you see one thing, I see something else. Because I'm looking for tribal code talk in the midst of the basic conversation, right? And my whole family been having powwows. My father and my uncle been having powwows since I can remember. I don't know nobody that's not us that throw powwows. I don't know nobody. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying I personally don't know nobody that's not us that have a real powwow on a regular basis. Right. But I know that we them tribes, and we ain't never stopped having powwows, right? Meeting of the minds, whatever you want to call it, trying to figure out a solution to the problem. I don't know nobody else outside of us that was doing that. So I just had to tell it like it is. We had to get this information out. We had to expose the frauds and the imposters and the infiltrators. I'm telling you, people think I like talking about the dirty Moors, but I don't. My feelings ain't never been hurt as bad as I did when I found out the paleface ain't had no power. And it looked like they reaping all of the benefits of power and they ain't got none. And then I found out that the reason they don't have none because the people we've been fighting look like us. And they've been using them as proxies to fight a war against us. And half of them didn't even know it either, if not more than half of them. Most of them, as a matter of fact. And the ones that knew, they would give me clues. And they would tell me stuff like, why you mad at us? It was your own people that did it to you. Now, these old people talking to a 10-year-old kid. Right? But look, I lived in Grand Rapids, on the west side of Grand Rapids in the 70s. We was the only melanated family in this Polak Irish community. And I used to sell candy door to door for school. And one time I was selling the candy and the dude had a KKK stuff all on he had like a shrine in his living room. When he opened the door, you can't miss it. And I told him, oh, I'm sorry, I can't sell you no candy. He was like, I don't have a problem buying no candy from him. I was like, no, I don't mess with the KKK. Why? Because y'all don't like us. He started laughing. He said, you mad at us. It wasn't even us. It was your own people that did it. They ain't my people. They just look like us. They ain't us. But I didn't know what he was talking about till years and years later. He wasn't the only one. I was playing baseball in elementary school, and I hear two Caucasians talking, right? and one of them telling them, we gonna always be looked at as the enemy because they don't even know it's their own people. Now, he wasn't talking to me. I just so happened to be sitting in the dugout while they on the bleachers above me. They don't even know it's a darkie in the dugout because the whole team, except for my brother and me, was paleface. And they sitting right over us in the dugout having the conversation. And I'm listening. And I was like, that's odd. Why would this paleface dude tell this other paleface dude, we gonna be always looked at the enemy because they don't know it was their own people? I'm like, that was weird to me. So I go home, Roots come out. I come home from school, we watching Roots all week. And people at school, they just going crazy on this Roots stuff, right? And I asked my mama, I said, Mama, did we come from Africa? She said, hell no, we ain't no damn Africans. She said, my daddy was an Indian chief. You know, my mama told me, we ain't never been to Africa. Right? So when I used to ask my pops, he'd say, I don't know, but my grandmama was an Indian and she had hair so long when she sat down, when she stand up, it would still be dragging the floor. In Native American culture, she was a big mama. Because that was how she showed her rank, by allowing her hair to grow. It never sat well with me that the most traumatic part of my learning was to find out that some people that looked like us was behind this the whole time. I was traumatized on a level I can't explain, Neil.
Hey, you know, a dude told me the same thing a long time ago, right? He was a white boy, like I was at work at Walmart. He told me the same exact thing. Like he said, man, the people that did y'all wasn't us. I couldn't, he said they were some dirty Moors. And look, at the time, I didn't know nothing about dirty Moors. So when he said it, it kind of like offended me. I'm like, who the hell is this dude talking about, right? And then now it's all coming out that dude really, look, he was a dude that he liked me. He always sit with me and talk about all kind of shit. But he told me that, right? The white guy. And I said, man, this dude right here might be tripping, you know. But then now I'm putting it together. Yeah, that dude really was giving me some game. I'm talking about like 15, 20 years ago. This dude was telling me this when I was working at Walmart. And he was always come sit with me at lunch and we would talk. He would always be reading. He read, like on his lunch break, he always read a book. And yeah, man, I used to like talking to him, but like when he told me that part, I was like, man, this dude kind of crazy or something, right? But that dude was right the whole time. He was telling me who was the people that did us look like us, but ain't us. He was telling me the whole damn time, man. I swear to God. A long time ago. Also, hey, Rob, I got one more clip to play before we get out here. Hey, everybody hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Everybody send Rod $25 right now, man, to the Cash App or PayPal. Somebody send him a Honda, you know what I'm saying? A C-note, man, if you got it, man. Show Chief some love, man, till we can come back next time. Hey, Rod, I got one interesting I ain't going to play the whole thing. I'm only going to play a couple of seconds of it. But it's about the UN. Shout out to Duke, man, because I saw the Duke play this clip. About the UN declaring war against conspiracy theories. And they're saying that, like the stuff that we just talked about, all these guys being connected some kind of way to the Jewish community. And they ones that gaslighting us, and now they saying that that could be a conspiracy theory. Now listen to what they say. It's kind of interesting. Then I'm only play a couple seconds of it.
Okay. Here is a fun article for everybody. This article is about 2 years old, almost.
I'm looking at this shit like, what, y'all? Why the UN declares war on dangerous conspiracy theories, which is us? Talking about the world is not secretly manipulated by global elite. Well, obviously, yes, the fuck it is. What y'all doing all this for? Y'all, this shit is for real. Y'all, this shit is for real. It's talking about the United Nations has declared war on conspiracy theorists, describing the rise of conspiracy thinking as worrying and dangerous, and providing the public with a toolkit to pre-bunk and debunk anybody who dares to suggest that world governments are anything but completely honest, upstanding, and transparent. Man, quit playing. I cannot make this shit up, y'all. It said the UN also warns that George Soros, the Rothschilds, and the state of Israel must not be linked to any alleged conspiracies. They have declared war on us, bro. And it says UNESCO has teamed up with Twitter, the European Commission, and the World Jewish Government to launch the campaign dubbed hashtag Think Before Sharing. They're talking about this. This shit is serious. The UN declared war on dangerous conspiracy theories.
Hey, y'all get the likes up. Get the likes up.
Y'all ain't just.
So they coming out now. Right?
Hey, look, her reactions are to me. That sister that was talking, she be so sincere. But look, first of all, theory is a proposed concept for scientific evaluation by other scientists. Right. And the other name,
go ahead.
The other name for theory is hypothesis. A conspiracy just means that two or more people participated in the plan and made one attempt to execute the plan. Protocols prove it. All you got to do is say, take the protocols of Zion as you go through each one of the sections that they said they was going to control. Ask you who control it. That's it. The theory becomes an operational fact at that point. It's no longer a theory. So if you can repeat it by different people doing the same investigation, coming up with the same result, that's no longer a theory. That's a fact. That's how you determine a scientific fact versus a scientific theory or a scientific hypothesis. Is it a repeatable study? Everybody, if it's somebody else in another part of the world can look at the same information you looked at and come to the same conclusion, that's not a theory. For them to say they declaring war and they specifically name the Rockefellers, George Soros, and Israel, why would they name them as the targets of the theory of conspiracy if they don't got nothing to do with it? And why would they say, when we know that governments around the world participate in all kind of corruption and debauchery, we have the facts to prove it from other governments outing them. So why would they say that they all upstanding when we know they ain't? Okay, now, the next thing is, who own the United Nations? It's a company. It's a corporation, just like the United States. So who is the founders of the UN? France, the United States, Great Britain. It's like two more of them. It was like 5 founders. Okay? So what was the first overt act of the United Nations? The United Nations was formed at the conclusion of World War II in 1945. Their first overt act as the United Nations in 1948 was to annex the West Bank and establish the so-called Nation of Israel. Now, why is that even important? First of all, in order for you to understand why they did it, is how you're going to understand why it's important. It was a response to something called the Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration was an agreement with Britain that if these people, financiers, mulatto Khazarian offspring of the Moors, would finance this war to protect the German Jew from Germany, then they would set them up their own homeland. Now, they settled on the West Bank, but the West Bank wasn't even the first choice. Anybody can look this up. Go to Google and say before the UN decided on the West Bank, what other places was considered to set up the state of Israel? They're not even all in the Middle East. Right? So the conspiracy theory protest is actually the protest against the ones that's cracking the code and exposing the real conspiratorial network to the general public. The conspiracy theory moniker, where did it come from? It was a CIA COINTEL tag. Anybody that was leaking the truth out to the people, they would call them a conspiracy theorist in the news right before they either give them a criminal charge and lock them up or they outright killed them. So we ain't really worried about what the United Nations say because we know that's just a dog and we know who hold the leash. And all of that stuff is just verification and proof that we've been right the whole time that they protesting against us. And that's why the young melanated American is the biggest problem or the biggest threat to Israel. Because if we take our land back, we automatically cut off their finance. Right? The only thing outside of the American financial support of Israel that's keeping them afloat is they stealing the people from Gaza's oil. And they not even using the mainstream channels to sell the oil through OPEC and Aramco. They selling it in the underground like it's drugs because they don't have a right to sell it. So they can't sell it on the open market. They got to sell it on the black market through backdoor channels. So that's the only reason why they have any money outside of what America give them. And a couple of countries in Europe that's paying them reparations for World War II. You gotta remember, during the whole Cold War after the Bolshevik Revolution, the whole Cold War, go pull out the almanacs and look who was the #1 financial contributors of Russia, and you're gonna be shocked to find out America was financing Russia the whole time. I don't call it the
USSR. That's right.
I don't call it the United Soviet Socialist Republic. I call it the United States with apostrophe S at the end, Socialist Republic, because America paid for it. America bankrolled them. Just like they bankrolling Israel. But they ain't bankrolling Nigeria. They ain't bankrolling Kenya. They ain't bankrolling South Africa. They ain't bankrolling Libya, Morocco, Tunis. Why they bankrolling Israel? Why they was bankrolling Russia? They was pacifying Russia because Russia was the first country to realize who we was and say, hey, y'all need to leave them people alone during colonization. When all of those nations came over here, the first ones to dissent, that's what made them end up selling Alaska because they didn't want no parts of nothing going on over here at that point. Because they had already invaded Alaska, Russia did. But when they realized who they was invading, they backed out and sold Alaska to the United States. So the United States is just a corporation. They liquidated their asset to get out of the fight because they didn't agree. A lot of us don't know this because it's not part of the narrative for them to teach us this. And so we be sitting here, and you have to go down the path called obscure history, revisionist history, and history at a second look. Because a lot of the mainstream history is purely educational and academic fabrication. You got to remember, before 1900, only about 2% of the world was literate. So who was doing all of the writing? Secret societies. Because you had to be in a secret society for a person to be willing to teach you how to read. Right? So, and if you was going to be a book writer, you needed a financier. How do we know this? Study Khalil Gibran, Lebanese poet, author of The Prophet, right? you'll find out it was two ladies. One name was Maziata, and the other one was named, I think her name was like Mary Haskell or something, that financed him to write his poetry. It was the same. That's why they call them starving artists, because if you didn't have a support of somebody wealthy, you couldn't participate in your art because you had to participate in day-to-day living. You had to work the farm. It wasn't no leisure for you to explore your artistic talent without a financier. For your intellectual outlet, you needed a financier. All of those books we see from the 1800s and before, all of those books was controlled out and released by secret societies. It wasn't until people started in the 1900s coming up with their own printing presses and printing their own materials like J.A. Rogers do we get alternative perspectives of what's being done, right? We had a couple of newspapers that they shut down, burnt them up, right? Because that was critical for communication. That's why the Elijah and Malcolm started Muhammad Speaks. Before that, Noble Drew Ali used to put out a newsletter. I forgot what the name of it was, like the Morris Star or something. I don't remember. But Marcus he had his own. Yeah, and Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey used to put out his own newspaper. Anybody that was putting information out like that, they was a problem. If you can't control the information they putting out. That's why the Rockefellers bankrolled the textbooks, so they can control what goes in them in order to control the narrative.
Hey, David Walker's appeal.
Yeah. David Walker was right. That was an open letter to all of the chiefs on the land. That blew my mind when I read that, because he was talking about who these people that they have in bondage on our land. They didn't look like us. But who was they? Where they come from? But people not go even when they read David Walker's appeal today, they gonna think they talk about us. They ain't gonna know that he asking why these pale-faced people was in bondage on our land. And that go back to earlier when you brought up about them coming over here as serfs. Most of us don't know that another name for slave is serf. And vassals. The vassal villages was populated by the captives of war. And the only ones that they would keep was the children. And then they would set them up in villages, and then they would go to go watch the Robin Hood movies. Watch that movie with Martin Lawrence when they called Martin the Moor, and he was looking at him like, what?
Yeah, Black Knights.
Right? So they tell us this, all these little clues. Watch Mel Brooks' History of the World. They're going to tell you it's a chess game played with people, but they're going to tell it in parody. Right? Remember what Eminem said in that song on 8 Mile? Right? He said, a lot of time I joke about being the best, but we all know a lot of truth is said in jest. Right? So they telling you in comedy, in satire, in drama, in theater, the real deal. But a good example, Cicely Tyson in that family reunion movie, the speech at the end of the movie, that wasn't in the script. She freestyled that. She was talking to all of us. That wasn't just for the movie. She was the Iroquois high priestess. That's why that part that she talking to Robin Givens in Women of Brewster's Place, that wasn't in the script when she said she wasn't supposed to say that. But being true to her tribe and true to how they operate, every opportunity she got to slide something in and tell people who we are, she did it. She wasn't the only one. It's in the music. You ever hear this song called I'm Just an Outlaw, Baby? An outlaw. That's talking about the tribes. The tribe was called outlaw tribes because they had nothing to do with American judiciary until they got done conquering the land. Or they didn't really conquer it, gave the people the illusion of conquest.
the Seminoles never gave up. They ain't never turned into these guys.
Look, the term Seminole mean half-breed, but they tell you it mean runaway. It's a compound word. The first part is semi, which means half or part of something. The second part is noles, right, which means natal or birth, half breed. And that was the name given to us by the Spanish, but they tell us now that it was Cimarron. Cimarron is a whole different word. And then we didn't even refer to neither one of them terms. We said that's Gullah Wars. Because there was the Gullah Geechee Big Mama that called us to war. That's why we called it the Gullah Wars. So we would know who called us to war. A Carolina Big Mama from the Gullah Geechee tribe, who was the reigning Big Mama of the land at the time. And she got some kind of spirit message from somebody on the island and said they coming. And that's the same reason why Sitting Bull, Christopher Wallace, had to take that public lashing from Tupac Amaru, because he was sitting on his post and he didn't alert nobody that the imposters and the frauds and the usurpers was coming when they got past his gate. And the only reason why you know is he got to show you that his skill set would allow him to be a formidable competitor. But because he sat on his post, he had to take the public lashing, which goes right back to what we were talking about earlier with Nip. That's why they had to choose Shitty Cuz to be the so-called shooter. It's all tribal. And if you don't know the tribal code system, go back and watch the movie Code Talkers, I think is what it's called, about the Navajo code crackers that they was using in the war. But it wasn't them. They looked like us. But in the movie, they painted them like $5 Indians. It is what it is.
That's the same thing with that dude Wild Bill, who was had that little show set up where he was it was like a psychological gaslighting where he was taking these Slavics and these other guys and dressing them up like us and parading them around like they us. They used Hollywood too. The Dirty Moors took over Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? That's how they was promoting this $5 Indian worldwide as the indigenous, when everybody, and it's the killer, bro. A lot of people around the world besides us, they know who we are. Like the Africans, they know who we are. A lot of these people know who we are, but some of them, they laugh at us and just don't want to tell us, right? But they know who we are. They know exactly who we are. They told Malcolm X when he went over there, "Hey man, you coming over here? You ain't from over here." Then he come back talk about, "Hey man, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he figured it out. Malcolm X figured it out. That's one reason why the small has put the play on. You know what I'm saying? It seems like the small has put plays on everybody. Go ahead.
That's one of the reasons why they try to dissuade the original people from this land from traveling abroad. Because when you go overseas, like I talk to people that's foreigners that came over here, I can recognize a foreigner that look like us, and if they in a pack of us, I could tell you which one ain't from here. Right? I used to do it in the joint. They used to be like, "How do you even know?" I was like, it's in his swag. It's in his how he operate, how he move. They don't move like us. I got a friend in Grand Rapids. He from the Mende tribe in Sierra Leone, right? And before we got cool, the first time I seen him, we was out on the yard sitting on the picnic bench. It's about 15, 20 of us. I'm out there with some Saginaw Indians, some Benton Harbor Indians, some Bay City Indians. He come walking out the dorm. He just got there. And I'm looking up at him. I'm saying, "Who's that dude, man? He ain't one of us." They all looked at me like, what you mean? I said, that nigga is from overseas somewhere. I don't know where he from. He not from here. Right? So one of the guys at the table, he was a Grand Rapids Indian, which is Ottawa territory, Ottawa Indian. He said, oh, that's my homeboy. He from Grand Rapids. I said, nah, he from somewhere else. He just live in Grand Rapids. So he called him over there. Come here, Fadia. He said, where you from? He said, I'm from Grand Rapids. I was like, nah, where you originally from? He said, oh, my people come from Sierra Leone. We Mindy. The whole table, like, whiplash looked at me like, how the hell you know that? I know my people. I've been here so many lifetimes. If somebody behaved with a different nature than ours, I can see them. I don't need no DNA test to see them. I just know how we operate. I know how we walk. I know how we talk. No matter what part of the land we from. If a Cali dude came to my city right now and I just so happen to pass him, I'd be like, yeah, that's bro from Cali. If it's a New York dude and I see him, I'd be like, oh yeah, he a New Yorker. I might not know what borough he from, because I'm not good enough to differentiate the subtleties in Bronx, Harlem, lingo and swag. So if he's from New York, I can recognize a New Yorker being from New York, and he might not have been there for 25 years. I do it all the time, just in general conversation, not even realizing what I'm doing until I start doing this work. And then I look back on it, I'm like, man, I've seen dudes, I'd be like, man, you look like you from New Orleans. He started laughing. Yeah. He said, I was born here, but my mom and daddy from New Orleans. How I know that? I don't know how I know that. I don't know how I know that. Look, I done had dudes come from different parts of the country and I tell them where they from and still don't know how I knew where they was from. But I knew where they was from. It's just innate. We know the energy signature that comes from different parts of the land. And if we can't match that energy signature to none of the parts of the land, he from overseas. I could spot a Jamaican dude 15 blocks away. I ain't never been to Jamaica, but I can tell you he's Jamaican. Now, the only time I get confused is a Dominican and a Haitian can be standing there. I couldn't tell them apart unless the Dominican was light-skinned. But if a Dominican and the Haitian standing together, I couldn't tell them if they just standing there being themselves and one of them don't tell me, no, he's from Dominican, I'm from Haiti. I won't know them apart. But it's the same island.
The same people.
Yeah, and the ones that threw me off because I thought they was Jamaicans, but they wasn't, was the ones from Belize. I had a hard time distinguishing.
Hey, you right, bro.
Yeah, I had a hard time distinguishing Belizeans from Jamaicans. But I could see a Jamaican standing with a Haitian, and I'd be like, oh, there's a Jamaican and Haitian dude standing right there. I don't know why I know that. I don't even know how I know that. But it's just something that I know as soon as I see him, right? And I know why I know New Orleans people because I done been there. I know why I know Mississippi people because I used to live there, right? I know why I know people from Chicago because that's where I was born. But I don't know why I know people from other parts of the land that I hadn't been to as growing up. But when I get grown, like I met some girls when I was on the Army base from Carolina. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, they from down south, but I couldn't tell what part of the South they was from, right? But when they started talking, I said, they from the South, but they not from Mississippi, Alabama, or Louisiana. What part of the South y'all from? And then they say, we from Kakalaki. I said, Kakalaki? What the hell is that? And they started laughing. They said, that's Carolina. They said, but I'm from North Kakalaki. She from South Kakalaki. That's why they was jammed on the Army base. I was staying with my sister. But most of the time I see somebody, it'll just come out. I won't even be thinking it. It'll just be in the conversation and I'll identify where they from. I know my people. You can't know your people if you don't love your people.
Hey, there you go, Rod.
And you can't love your people if you love yourself.
Yeah, and that about wraps it up, Rod. We had about 9,000 people on tonight. Hey, y'all, this was a good one, man. This was a needed class because we got this is the end of the gaslight, man. We know who we are. You can't tell us shit about who we are. Tamahoos, none of y'all. Nobody from somewhere elsewhere to come tell us who the hell we are, right? With this gaslight shit no more. After this, we don't want to hear no more Jabaris, no more Dr. Umars, none of y'all. If they keep continuing it after this, we see that they either just don't give a damn, they either ignorant or they in on the shit. They in on it. And that's usually the case.
Listen, I'm about to clip what I'm about to say out, put it on TikTok, and tag Dr. Umar. When we send the Moors back to Morocco, we're going to get them and reserve him a seat to drop his ass off in Ghana where he got his citizenship at since he don't belong here. You see if we can catch a ride with the Moors going to Morocco because they don't belong here either. They belong in Morocco.
Hey, which Moors you talking about? I'm a Moor and I'm a Washington. And we got the biggest land on the land. Hey, hold on. Let me play a clip for you, bro, before we get out of here. Since you said that.
Let me say this. The ones that don't belong here, that want us to think we from somewhere else, them the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, you got to make a distinction because nowadays, when you say that, because we just read the George Washington challenge and he said he gonna trick the Moors. And I can play you this clip. Listen to this clip right here before we get out of here, because I'm glad you brought that up. Because when you start saying dirty Moors, you got to make a clear distinction. Yeah. You got to make a clear distinction because we got the biggest tribe on the land in Washington.
Anyone
this right here.
Now, for everybody that was doubting, let me show you where the CDC lists all the American Indians under Moor. If you go to their website, as you can see on the screen, and you type in Moor, like you see me do, and just follow these links. You see what I'm showing you here? You're going to tap Moor. I'm going to zoom in. See where it says parent-child relationship type? Eastern tribes. Boom. Watch this. Now you see these Eastern tribes, right? Those are just the Eastern tribes. Now watch what happens when I hit American Indian. Boom. We're going to scroll and zoom in a little bit. These are all the tribes. Cree, Delaware, Creek, Iroquois, Abenaki. It has everything right here. And I didn't even open those up to see the sub-tribes. We're just going to back out after I get here, so you can see exactly where I got this from, so you can go see it for yourself. So for all the so-called Native Americans out there, we Moors. I mean, it don't get much more black and white than this. And this is the CDC telling y'all who we are, not Mac. The CDC, race and ethnicity, CDC. So on their website, just go type in Moor. Peace.
Hey, Rod. Hey, we also, because when they said they gonna see, when you say you're gonna send the Moors back the way you said, when we just read the George Washington challenge, that you'll be agreeing with George Washington, sending the Moors back to Africa. That's the same. That breaks down the whole fucking paragraph. Look, this is what I'm telling you, Rod. The people that you talking about, I don't even think that they Moors. They are avatars, reptilian avatars. That's what they are. Just like the movie Avatar. They look like us, but they ain't us. So they can't be no Moors because we the Moors. We are the mound builders over here in America. So that's what you saying. I always say what you're saying, like some dirty suckers, but to me, they ain't even Moors. They are people who came over who in avatars and they fucking reptilians and they drank blood and they eat children. The real righteous Moors aren't doing that. So yeah, you gotta be very careful when you say, "Oh, we gotta send the Moors back." Because when people hear you, they go to talk about all the Moors. All Moors come back. Moors, we don't origin from no Africa. The Moors do not origin from Africa. They origin from America. Not just like George Washington Challenge just said. So we can't sit up there and do that. What you doing? You can't sit up there and do that. I understand what you're saying, but when you said somebody in the crowd take that shit as all Moors gonna go. We ain't Moors. We ain't Moors because Rod said the Moors going back to Africa. So yeah, because when suckers do that, they come in the comments and do that shit. So yeah, I don't like it. I understand what you're saying. But yeah, the Moors can't go nowhere because they're from America. The Moors are the original Americans. The Moors are the original Americans, and we can debate that. I got a whole slide that why we can debate that. Because like I say, you got to go study Turner versus U.S. Them were Moors, and they won the land back of the Louisiana Purchase. That's the biggest fucking plot of the land, and that's the biggest tribe on the land, the Washita Moors, just like the Empress said. So yeah, man. Yeah, that's the only thing I would disagree with. Yeah, you can send some dirty jokers back who Zionists, but they ain't no Moors. They avatars and reptilian skin, and they drank blood and eat humans. We wasn't doing none of that shit over here. That's why we kicked. That's why Akmos and Cockmos kicked their ass from off over here.
Let me say this. I need you to pay attention. How long have we been being called Moors?
Man. Amaru, like if you don't like the word more, how about the Amaru? It translates into more.
Listen, go back to the video we did and review the catch term Moor, where we went over the history of being called Moors. We did the video. We did the video.
I don't think nothing you can say, Rod. No disrespect. I don't think nothing you can tell me that the more term don't matter when it's killer clowns and all these people. Look, we call ourselves Indians, we call ourselves Crips, Bloods, Gangster Disciples, all that shit. But they don't get mad at that. But as soon as we say more, they want to take us out. When Doc starts saying more, people want to take us out. When Jeff Fort started doing it, it's just, you know what I'm saying? You got to be extra careful when you say, the Moors this and that. You got to be precise. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, bro. I'm just telling you, man.
I'm an old Mississippian, and I'm not.
They overthrows the George Washington Challenge. That he was going to trick the Moors, the children of the Moors, to make them think that they was from somewhere else. See what I'm saying?
Okay. But he grouping two different groups of people together under that banner.
Yeah, them other people look like us, but they ain't us. They ain't no Moors. They claim to be Jewish, the jewelers, but they're not. They are the synagogue of Satan.
I don't care who they is. They ain't us, and I ain't them. All I'm telling you is, if you want to be called a Moor, you have the prerogative to be called a Moor. That's your self-identification. I'm not no Moor. I'm old Mississippi. I'm Mississippi Clay Dirt Walker. The term Moor was used to fight a war. I'm not no part of that war. I'm just telling the people where the war was being fought. And if the ones that claim Morocco, they can get on their ship and take their ass back to Morocco with the rest of the ones being kicked off the land. And while they getting kicked off, they can take Dr. Umar unapologetically African ass and drop his ass off in Ghana where he got his citizenship at. And since he ain't from over here either. That's all I'm saying. I don't care nothing about being worried about being called who called the Moor and who not called the Moor. I'm past that. I already fought that fight. I'm not fighting that fight again. You can call yourself whatever you want to. I'm not no Moor. I'm an old Mississippian. And I just so happened to come up to the broken.
Like I know these old Mississippians, but yeah, never mind, Rod. You gonna have your own perspective on it. That's the only thing I disagree with, Rod. I'll let that you say.
Listen, we grown men. We're not supposed to agree on every single detail about everything. You forgot? Yeah. We supposed to have something that we hold for ourselves that we want to hold on to as part of who we are. And if you want to be called a Moor, then you absolutely have that right. I'm not gonna take that from you or try to. All I'm saying is the Moors that claim Morocco can take their ass back to Morocco. That's all. That ain't saying nothing bad about them. It's just saying they claim they from Morocco, take your ass home. So we can rebuild over here what's with all of these different colonizers that screwed up. That's all I'm saying. And all of the ones that want to go back to Africa and claiming that they ain't gonna never be free to Africa, free need to take their ass over there and free Africa, like these tribes is working to free us over here. I ain't got no attachment to being called a Moor. My attachment is to Mississippi and growth and development. And outside of that, that don't got the rest of it. The Moors inside the Moors sciences, wherever they at on the land, can come together and figure out which ones is Amaru and which one of them is Moray. That don't got nothing to do with me. I'm just telling them where the war being fought. And the ones that identify with Morocco can take their ass back to Morocco. That's all I'm saying. And Dr. Umar can take his unapologetically African ass to Africa with all of his knowledge and his psychological training and start helping to free Africa and leave us the hell alone. And all of the rest of them that want to be from Africa, take your ass back to Africa and free Africa, because they fighting for their freedom over there. You over here trying to stop us from fighting us for our freedom. You can take your ass to Africa so you can be part of their freedom fight, since we ain't gonna never be free to Africa be free. If you, all of the ones that feel like that, take their ass over to Africa and fight for African freedom, then we could get this a whole lot faster. And all of the ones that want to come on the slave ship can leave on the ship. I ain't come on no slave ship. My bloodline been here since life been here. So I ain't worried about none of those Johnny come lately terminologies. More is a catch term. It's a after the fact thought up idea in order to group multiple groups of people under one name. They ain't all the same, but the ones that identify as Moroccan Moors can take their ass back to Morocco and with Tipper Tib and them from and be part of their community over there, because they can't stay here. I don't care where they go. They don't even have to go back to Morocco if they don't want to. But if that's where they don't, if they not from over here originally, they can get the phone. I don't care. I'm not attached to the word Moor. The word Moor has no attachment to me whatsoever other than identifying where the war is being fought. It was fought under the banner of Moor, M-O-O-R, and it included people from varying different groups. So I'm not stuck on that. And I can't tell you not to call yourself a Moor if you want to call yourself a Moor. Malachi called himself a Moor.
Noble Jew Ali called himself a Moor.
Noble Jew Ali
called himself a Moor.
Yeah, so that's because they was fighting that war at ground zero. I'm not at ground zero. I already surpassed that ground zero warfare. We on some whole other stuff now. I don't care nothing about no Moors. Whatever they want to do, if they ain't recognizing the women, they dirty Moors. Period. If they ain't got the sheikesses up there trying to put the Moorish women's consulate out front where they supposed to be when they uplift fallen humanity, they the dirty Moors trying to stop the rise and the return of the matriarchy. Period. I don't care nothing about that stuff like that. I'm not attached to none of that. It don't hold no emotional weight with me whatsoever. But for somebody else, I can't tell somebody else. I got friends that's Moors. I got people that I respect and love that hold on to the title of being a Moor. I don't tell them I can't talk to you because you're a Moor. I don't do that. Right? I meet them where we got common ground. Me and you've been doing this for years. We got at least 3 years under our belt. And we went, right. So we done went through a whole lot of information. And I'm not stuck on being called a Moor because I know it's just a catch term and that it's just used to fight a war. So I'm not finna be associated with being a Moor because the war didn't have nothing to do with me. I just got caught up in it because it's on the land that I'm on.
Hey, anybody, to me, if you ain't a Moor, you can't tell me shit about the Moor. If you ain't no more, you can't tell me nothing about the more. Like that's just my perspective, right? And so, yeah, man, I'm a more from this land. I'm a more from this land. I'm indigenous to this land, and we are the mound builders. We the ones that build the mounds. So, the old Mississippians were mound builders, right? So, yeah, man, it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? But people, it's tricky shit going on. Because like I said, I noticed we can call ourselves, you can call yourself old Mississippians, all that shit, but they ain't concerned about that. They ain't concerned about you calling yourself that. Like Doc said, they only concerned about you calling us. Why they get mad? Why do the enemy, the people who you say that doing all this shit, why do they get mad when we refer to ourselves as Moors? They don't get mad when we call ourselves Inks. They don't get mad when we call ourselves Mississippians, Christians, Crips, Bloods, none of that. They only get mad at us. They only turn their face up and turn into goddamn zombies when we say, "Oh, I'm a Moor." Then they offended. Why? So it's got to be something to it. There's got to be something to that George Washington challenge. There's got to be some reason why these gatekeeping suckers who started the COINTELPRO, it's always they got a big ass library. The most shit in their library is after the Moors. And not no damn. Look, the Moroccan thing. That place was called Al Madrid, the land of the Far West, or the Far East, right? So yeah, man, we went over there to set up an outpost to trade with the Africans. That land, that's the only connection. Them people, the real Moors are not from no damn Morocco. So the people that's promoting that, unless you're gonna say, oh, this is Morocco, let's say, could they too? I'm saying I'm ancient mound builder, a Washita Moor. Whether you want to spell it M-O-O-R or M-U-U-R, it don't really make no difference to me. Because, like I said, and I'm gonna just because of this, I'm gonna do a whole presentation. I already did a whole bunch of presentations on this shit. But yeah, you can call yourself not a Moor. You say you an old Mississippian. You say this and that, but yo, I don't know what to say after that, man, because. Like I said, they don't give a damn what you call yourself. You can call yourself all them names you just said, but these motherfuckers get mad when we say more. They come out when we say more. They load in on you. And like I said, the people who you talking about, they not no damn Moors. They are reptilians and avatars, just like the movie Avatar. Some suckers will put on look like us, come just like you said, and come over here and say, "Oh, we Moors." They put on our face and call themselves Bay. Sit right next to us, but they the whole time they some goddamn some reptilian devil or some satanic suckers. The whole time they not the original mound builders. The original mound builders come from America. Just why George Washington was trying to trick us to thinking we were from Africa, thinking we were from Europe or the Iberian Peninsula. That's the shit that the white guy told all these dirty suckers told you. That's the truth, man. And that's just my truth. You can stick to what you stick to. I'm gonna stick to what I'm stick to. I'm a goddamn Moor, right? I'm a Moor. Bottom line, and that's it. That's all.
Okay, now
close out. Hey, go ahead, bro.
You asked the question, and I'm gonna answer you. Why do they get so upset when we call ourselves Moors? The ones who remember, I told you the war was being fought under the banner of Moor. The ones who refer to themselves as Moor are identifying themselves as the key combatants in the internal conflict. And them the ones that they don't want to wake up the most. And so they attack them the hardest because they the ones that's actually trying to figure this stuff out, whether they the righteous Moors or the dirty Moors. One group is trying to stop the other group from finding out who is who. But I'm not finna be tagged with a term that only go back 250 years when my people been here for thousands. That's, but last thing I gotta say before we go, L, remember I told you, grown folks don't have to always agree on every detail of everything because we got our own minds and our own way we look at the world, our own worldview. I don't identify with Moor for my own reasons, but I don't have disrespect for certain Moors because they respectable. You understand what I'm saying? And certain Moors, I'm not gonna never give them no respect because I see through their game. I don't have I love Asir Dukateers. I love Kush Day, right? I love Taj Tariq Bey. They Moors. And I don't never tell them they can't call themselves no Moors. All I be dealing with as far as where they concerned is the difference between the righteous Moor and the dirty Moor. Outside of that, I don't have nothing to say about the Moors. The only time I even bring them up is when I'm distinguishing what the righteous Moor and the dirty Moor's differences is. The righteous Moors is coming from a different place than the dirty Moor. The dirty Moor want to suppress us all. And the reason the government react to the term Moor is because they all under one banner. And they can't get the righteous ones sometimes without attacking some of their own in friendly fire. I don't have no attachment to that, but I don't have no extreme aversion to it either. Right? I'm not against all of the people that call themselves Moors, because most of the ones that's the real warriors in this game have been calling themselves Moors, right? Because they fighting this war of the George Washington Challenge, which erased our memory of who we was. And now we trying to exhume our nation from the ashes of what was stolen from us. So I'm not gonna refer to myself as a Moor, and I'm an old Mississippian. I'm growth and development. That's my land. That's my people, right? I'm not a vice lord, but I love vice lords. I'm not a peace stone, but I love the stones because I know their history. I know who they are on the land without any external interference. But when the external interference come in, it's gonna irk my ires, and I'm gonna attack that shit. Right? The outside interference, the prevention of us from self-identifying. I'm not gonna never tell you can't identify with whatever term that you want to use to identify yourself with, because you're a grown-ass man and you got that right. And I can't take that right from you, even if it's your right to be wrong. It's your right. I can't interfere with that. All I could do is tell the truth where I see it at. I'm not gonna get offended when people talk about they from Morocco. I'm just gonna tell them go back to Morocco. If they African and unapologetically, take your ass back to Africa. But I'm over here where my people at, and this is where my fight is. My fight not in Africa. My fight is in the Americas. If my fight was in Africa, I would be in Africa right now, and I wouldn't be over here on social media having this conversation with you, because Africa is so easy for us to with what we done went through over here. We can be more, if we was in for selfish gain, we can gain more selfishly in Africa than we can over here without being stopped before we get to a higher level. Over here, anytime we try to rise up, we only can get so far before they try to cut us down. I don't care nothing about that stuff like that, El. It's not that serious to me. It's not gonna never get an emotional knee-jerk reaction out of me when people say they are Moor, right? I'm gonna watch how they move, and I'm gonna know what kind of Moor they is based on that. But other than that, I'm not emotionally attached to it like that, right? And only reason why I even discuss them is because it's part of the historical record that they had to be discussed at the close of the age. I wouldn't even talk about them if I didn't have to. I wouldn't even mention them, right? But when it's something that Angel Bay ain't here to speak on, I'm going to speak on it because I'm supposed to. Not because I'm anti-Moor or pro-Moor, because the chief that's supposed to clean that house up is indisposed because of the government corruption. Right? So I don't take it that way. I recognize other people's right to believe what they want to believe and identify how they want to identify. I don't take that from nobody. I just know for me, The ones that claim they Moroccans and they Moors from Morocco can take their ass back to Morocco. That's all I'm saying. And they can drop Dr. Umar ass off where he got his citizenship in Ghana on their way. Because they can just swing right on around and they won't be going too far out the way to drop his ass off too. That's all I'm saying. So you don't have to get I'm not the one heckling us in the comments about the Moorish information, Moorish doctrine. Right? We didn't went over too much information. You should already know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. I'm just letting you know where I come from. I come from the Washington Moors.
If I don't know where you come from by now,
mound builders.
If I don't know where you come from, if I don't know what your perspective is by now, I don't think you're gonna be able to explain it to me. But I'm pretty sure that I understand your point and I understand where you coming from with what you're saying. I don't have no problem with that, or else I wouldn't be doing these shows with you if it was an issue with me and you calling yourself a Moor. If that was an issue, that's not an issue with me, right? I study with Moors. One of my homeboys, Chris Glover Bay, was one of my study partners in jail. Hart Eel gave me some of the most potent books to read. Dyson Bay, which is brothers to Eric Dyson Bay, who put me on the phone with him in the joint. Them guys, I love them guys like brothers, and they Moors. So it's not just. I'm not just blanket statement all Moors. By now you should know when I talk about getting rid of a motherfucking Moor, he got to be a dirty Moor. And you've seen me many times stop and say, I have to clarify that there's a difference between a righteous Moor and a dirty Moor, because I done it hundreds of times on these shows.
Yeah, but you didn't do that when you said send the Moors back. You should have said send the dirty Moors back. You just said Moors. So when people in the comments hear it, they say, oh, the Moors are all dirty. And that's not the case.
Listen, that's because they ain't listening to us long enough to have an opinion about what I'm saying yet. So we clarifying it now.
Okay, I'm glad you did that.
We clarifying it now. I don't care what they identify as, but I know this: when I speak up, I got to speak for all the tribes. And when I got my brother-in-law, my brother a Moor, he identifies as a Moor. He my brother. He a whole Mohawk chief, and he identifies as a Moor. So it ain't that. But the ones that keep claiming Morocco can take their ass back to Morocco. That ain't nothing wrong with saying that, because wherever you from, that's where your birthright gonna come to you at. Your birthright not gonna come to you on foreign land. That's why they doing all of this ICE movement and kicking people out the country, right? Because they have to send people where they gonna get their birthright, because it's coming. And the matriarchal order is going to restore more people back to their birthright than ever before, and you have to be where you're supposed to be in order to get what's rightfully yours. It's like trying to give somebody something he ain't in his seat. You passing out stuff in the classroom and the kid don't come to school today, you don't leave his on his desk because he ain't there. Well, it's the same thing. Wherever you from, you need to get your ass where you from so you can get your birthright. If your birthright is in Morocco, you can take your ass back to Morocco.
Them ain't no Moors. Them Africans. They ain't no Moors. They Africans. That's an African. If you saying
it don't matter. Listen, they identify as Moorish Moroccans. That's what they tell me they is. So they can take their ass back to Morocco and be Moors in Morocco.
They ain't no damn Americans. They African.
Morocco is in Africa.
Yeah, so they Africans. They ain't no original mound builders.
I ain't said nothing about no original mound builders. You the one brought the mound builders into this.
Yeah, because the mound builders are the Moors.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a Mississippian mound builder and I'm not a Moor.
Well, yeah, that's your opinion, Rod. But I'm gonna do another presentation. You probably don't give a damn about it, like you say. You don't give a damn anyway about it. But it's just that's what we disagree at on that part. The original, the emperor said it. Everybody.
Yeah, I don't have no feelings about being able to disagree on that particular point and let you can have that part, and I don't have to participate in the part I don't agree with, and you have to participate in the part you don't.
I can't make you agree. That's right.
Hey, look, and Young L still gonna be my guy, right? And,
Oh yeah, bro. I ain't mad. I ain't mad at you. Like Tupac, I ain't mad at you.
Yeah, I just don't.
I just gotta stand up where you either stand for something or you fall for any goddamn thing. So hey, look, I'm standing on. Hey, I'm a indigenous Washita, and it's a whole bunch of sister tribes that include into that, like the Choctaw, the Apache, the Yokota people. All of them was counted as Washita in that landmass called Louisiana Purchase. So yeah. Yeah, I agree with a lot. Just about everything you say, Rod. But that part right there about to me, if you ain't a Moor, then you ain't American. You something from somewhere else. That's my opinion. Because the word American even translate into the land of the Moors for the suckers that's in the when you translate it out, Amaru Khan people are the Moors, all the ancient mound builders, and that's another way of saying it. The Spanish said Amaru, which means the plumed serpent people. And if you study that, you'll see that the plumed serpent is it's like the spiraling up. It's the representation of those stepstone pyramids, the plumed serpent people. So it connects back, and what the meaning of it is, the real meaning, because I heard a whole bunch of people say what the meaning of it is. The meaning of it is the enlightened ones. That's what it really means. The enlightened ones. That's what more really means. The people from the city, from where the like Oranos are like is dealing with the rising of the sun or the information. Yeah, I already broke all this down. I got a tape call of the origin, all on the origin of the word more. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, but yeah, you gotta be specific. Them suckers that you talking about going back to Morocco, they Africans. They ain't no Moors. They Africans.
I don't know. I know.
Morocco is in Africa. So you going say you from Morocco, then you an African.
I know they be coming in the comments heckling both of us. So
yeah, they heckling right now. It's people that's saying, "Oh yeah, man," some people agreeing with me, some people agreeing with you. But yeah, it's just, hey, they don't, like I say, we can just agree to disagree, but we agree on more than we disagree on. So that's the good point. We agree on more than we disagree. Really, we only disagree with you on that one thing. That's it. Really, everything else is we on the up and up. But yeah, Rod, I ain't want to hold you this long. We almost had 4 hours on this shit, man. This is crazy. Yeah, man. Shout out everybody in the crowd. Everybody send Rod $25. Yeah, this is back if I'm glad we had this conversation live, Rod. Everybody sent Rod $25. Somebody said I'm 100 right now, y'all. Some people say, yeah, man. Everybody gonna have their own opinion, like I say. But hey, go watch the breakdowns I did on the origin of the Moors. I did a breakdown on the origin of the Moors and how they got taught by the people that was the children of the Gigi who got taught all this shit about navigation and all that. They the ones that would build the boats and start selling around. Now we went to Africa and started civilizing people over there. We went to Europe from over here and started civilizing people in Europe. So it could have been like you could say, oh, look, but I don't even agree that them people were Moors because the real Moors got overthrown. That's why we in this predicament. They got overthrown in Granada by the Spanish Inquisition. That's why if they would have never got overthrown, the righteous Moors over in Granada, we wouldn't even be probably arguing about this now. That's all I'm saying. Some people saying, "Yeah, relax." No, nigga, I ain't gonna relax because I'm tired of people doing it. I'm tired of people talking about when they say more, they don't be, you know what I'm saying? They don't go into like, oh yeah, I'm talking about these some niggas from over there. No, I'm talking about some goddamn Africans. The same suckers who was, they was the ones that was selling people. Yeah, man. Over here, we was all good. We had ancient technology before 1492 over here. Who was doing that? The enlightened ones. That's why they stole our seal and used it for on the back of the dollar from about the Illuminati. We the real Illuminati. We the real enlightened ones. We the ones that built everything over here and invented everything. That's why they call us the enlightened ones. You know what I'm saying? It's just my perspective on it, man. I hear a lot, there's people out here that's this is why yeah, man, we're about to get up out of here, man. I need to eat my food, man. That is already cold. Yeah, man. So yeah, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Man, we love y'all all. We love you all. You know what I'm saying? This was a needed conversation. Yeah, man, it needed to happen. So yeah, roll it back, man. We about to get up out of here. Y'all. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. All right, Rod, man. Hey, y'all. Peace and love. We send divine love throughout the universe to all. Free the 3 chiefs. Free Dr. Malachi Z. York. Free Larry Hoover. Free Jeff Fort the L. Rookie, man. Let the 3 chiefs walk. Peace and divine love to all the matriarchs on the land. We out. Wadu.
Wadu.
Damn. I mean, that was a good build, though. I wasn't expecting that, but it is what it is, man. Niggas have these type of conversations every day. Same old shit, just another day, man. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. Hey, don't forget, get ready for October. We gonna be in Atlanta in October. You feel me? Hold on. Damn, my mic ain't on. Yeah, we're gonna be in Atlanta in October. You feel me? So y'all can y'all get ready to turn up. I give y'all an update when the website up. You feel me? Hey, don't forget, if you haven't supported, y'all go tap in BigChiefUniversity.com. Get y'all BCU wellness joints. You feel me? Yeah, y'all go support. Let's get about 10 people to support today. In a real engine way. I might come back on a little later, man, but for right now, man, as long as we got each other, we don't need no motherfucking body. Hold the line, man. Big old Indian business. Indian.
I'ma take a bougie ass to Rodeo and then let her pick up whatever she want. CC Gucci, he gon' take her whatever she want. She pissed me off, so she still get whatever she want. Talking about a nigga from the Nella ass at home. Hit it in the shower, made her tell me what she want. Like I'm singing Miss, I made her tell me what she want. She on a power trip again. I know power got me buying again. Friends ain't jacking me, you must be lying to your friends. They know I'm a beast, I'll wake the giants up again. Shining once again. Ran it up, I told her mama, shot her my DMs. I'm right back in, locked in. Shawty got that dust for the block and try again. Think so when I hit it, sound like fuck a ad-lib. Got her ass again. Then she got it tripping off another yet again. Got a nigga feeling like a sucker yet again. Close on my emotions, then I rush and let her in. Hurry up and let her in. I'ma take a bougie ass to Rodeo and then let her pick up whatever she want. CC Gucci, he gon' take up whatever she want. She pissed me off, so I just to get whatever she want. Talking about a nigga from the Nella ass at home. Hit it in the shower, made her tell me what she want. Like I'm singing Miss, I made her tell me what she want. Spoil this mother.
Whenever she like, take her on the yacht, check the world if she like. Take a city clipping. Boys doing shit is wrong. She that looks her attitude, she on the way from. Hey.